Two. And we're live. Mic check.
Mic check. Hello. Testing. 5, 6, 7, 8. 50
That is strange.
What's up?
It's not picking up my desktop audio for some reason.
Interesting.
Test.
No, I can hear you. Hey.
Echo?
Yeah, it says echo. It's an echo. So, let me... That was what I was initially worried about.
Hold on, I think the echo might be on our part, though. Does this sound any better now that the mic's further away? Somebody talk.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Any better? To anybody listening?
Yeah, I'm the one with the echo. From what I can hear.
Ah. They said it was you, and they outed your whole real name.
Man.
Damn.
Mr. Vapes out here doxing people.
I'm more said. Government. Hit you with the government.
But you can hear our audio. I don't know why it's not showing up on my Streamlabs, but I will fix that issue at another time, since it is being heard. That's good, man. James is one of the most common names in the world. Alright, are you talking at the volume you're going to be using for the podcast? Because you are now very quiet.
I had turned the volume on my mic down so I can control it. I just turned it down to see if that would help with the audio.
Well, you sound pretty good to me, and if anybody wants to complain, they can and will. So guys,
It's all in tech, so that's what it is.
Okay.
Alright, so for anyone who...
should be gone now.
So, for anybody who may or may not be a first-time listener, or is just, here to hang out, I'm your boy Cynic. I got our usual co-host Justice.
What up?
I got the boy Sec.
Yo, what's up?
And I got Jin, aka Not Your Daddy.
And yet I'm still the best. This is why you said last.
Not be funny.
Man, everybody's sounding good today. I'm glad we all got mics. Thanks to me. But anyway. Oh man, so we're here to talk about the last 100-ish chapters of Kenichi.
We made it, y'all.
Oh man,
We did
we
it.
did. It's a 12-year project that this man worked on, and we finished it in about what 2 months, give or take. And it feels like a lifetime.
Yeah, real. Oh man, I tell you, I'm gonna go ahead and actually say this. I wasn't ready for it to be over. I really wasn't. Like, there was more that man had to tell to a story. I can tell.
Yeah, that last 20 chapters, give or take, were a little bit on the more rush side, and the closer it got to the end, the more rushed it felt. And I don't really blame him, because I know a little bit about like how that manga scene works and how randomly, they could just be like, yeah, sorry, it is what it is, we're dropping you, you're going to have to wrap this shit up. And so, like, I'm sure that's probably what happened to him, because, like, he had just celebrated reaching 500 chapters, and it was like a big celebration. The next thing you know, everything's hitting the fan really quick. And you're like, he must have got that pink slip, bro. Like, they must have asked him to log out.
Yeah, I'm pretty curious. Like, yeah, it really snowballed hard towards the end.
Hmm.
So, who wants to do the quick synopsis? Because this was... Well, actually, before we do the quick synopsis, I want to talk about something we didn't talk about in the last reading that I thought would show up, but I guess didn't. And maybe I'm just, like, remembering scenes that didn't happen or misremembering orders. But, like, Sek in the last episode was talking about how this... Or 2 episodes was talking about how, like, nobody shot an energy blast or anything yet. But literally 4 chapters into the next reading, we didn't even talk about it. Elder dressed as Garyu X said Ryuzan Blast.
Now, here, hold up. See, because I was waiting for someone to bring it up because nobody brought it up. I stayed out of it. I wasn't going to pick a fight. But I remember saying in the very beginning that no one was going to do any Kamehameha. And even in the story, it explains that it is just his key, like his intimidation factor, which everybody can do, and him basically shouting. Which is why when he blasted it at that one guy, the guy wasn't thrown back or anything. I'm just saying, he does not literally hit a Kamehameha. It feels like that's what's happening, but he doesn't literally do it. Y'all gotta be fair with me here. I didn't lie to anybody.
All I'm saying is that Nijima saw it, and he saw an energy blast, and, if it looks like a duck.
I mean, also, Nijima's a special case anyway, because remember, this guy can read horoscopes and shit just by looking at you, so let's not use Nijima as a normal source,
I believe that they even brought that up as a, point. This man said, he's a Scorpio, and I was like, really?
Just by looking, bro, that's why I'm saying, you can't trust Nijima like that, because he's not a normal source, he's not a normal person.
You're right. I'm definitely just memeing, but it's just really funny to think about that happened, 4 chapters after he said that.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't lying, because, I said it early on, they're not going to throw any Kamehameha specifically.
Bro, I swear.
Maybe.
I swear I got some memories mixed up and swore that he did it to a tank in this reading.
I also remember that.
I could have swore that he Ryuzan Blast some random tank in this part of the reading that we got to. And it just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been a journey.
A roller coaster.
God.
Definitely. And I gotta reiterate, yeah, it's a slow burn, but it's worth it. Not only are those chapters building up to something, but also on top of that, everything feels earned. And I say that a lot because it doesn't always feel like that, especially in this current generation of webtoons, anime, manga, all that stuff. A lot of these characters just seem to automatically come out the gate with a broken or multiple broken abilities, or being the most powerful person, yada yada yada, type, I ascend to godhood because demon this, extraction that, and Kenichi is literally not that in any way. And it's not even like he just tells us he doesn't have talent. He shows, like, look, it took him ungodly training to make him on par with other people, you know what I'm saying, who've been doing this for years, if not all their lives. So yeah, he had to earn that shit. And every time we see him get more muscular, get more skilled, get more determined, every single time we see him step up to the plate, we can see just how much he had earned to get to that point, you know?
Yeah, I definitely would agree. There was not a... This manga has had very few... there are very few manga or anime that I've ever read or watched that don't pull what I feel like is a typical ass pull or main character hack. The closest thing Kenichi has to a main character hack is his masterclass durability.
Yeah, that's fair.
But other than that, like, Kenichi legitimately earned every victory. So.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. But now, like, let's get into an actual, like, quick what all happened, because this 100 chapters, a lot of stuff happened all at once. I feel like,
man, a lot of stuff did happen.
Because
I almost don't feel like a quick synopsis will even do it justice, just because, no pun intended, mind you. There's just, like you said, so much happened, and all of it was relevant. Like, there isn't, like, you know, in some of those, you know, past synopses, well, we can skip over that. I mean, it was a good fight, but it didn't actually mean that much outside of the context of that fight. It didn't feel like that here. Everything had a point. You know what I'm saying? Everything from the Elder being trapped on that island to Shigure getting basically kidnapped to, you know, some of the enemies becoming friends. Everything felt like it had a point. Even if some of it felt really rushed and sudden, everything felt important. There was not a point where I was like, okay, I can just skip past this explanation. Or, you know, I could just, you know, wait till I get further on to go look back to see if I missed something. Nothing felt like that. Everything felt extremely important from beginning to end, and it doesn't feel like we can give as much justice to it as we would like, or at least I would like, personally.
So let's try this. Let's try highlight talking point then.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one that comes along, if I recall right, please correct me if I'm wrong, is basically the Sage Fist ordeal.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point. And so since we brought that up, I do want to be clear. Last week, I mentioned how Shinpaku wasn't showing up as much as I'd like. Now, in this last 100 chapters, he did bring them back. I won't lie, I still does feel like that better late than never moment. But they did come back, and I will be fair and say, I said one thing, it has been fixed. I did it before with the Masters, and I'm going to do it again here with the Disciples. There was a point where they weren't showing up as much. They kept saying how important they were. They kept saying how, like, they want to help and all this other stuff. They weren't doing anything. They did definitely come up more than once here. Now, everyone wasn't treated equally. Thor...
You know who mattered in the Shinpaku Alliance.
Yeah, I mean, Thor really hasn't done anything. So
Thor hasn't done anything since, like, he lost to Kenichi, if we're being completely honest.
Yep.
Yeah.
he's the Yamcha of the Shinpaku Alliance.
That's Uki, though.
He is, though. Well, no. See, Ukida's Chaozu.
That's fair.
No, bro.
No, I would flip those then.
Nah.
Chaozu doesn't do anything.
Ukida at least has a harem, like, comparable in size to someone.
Okay, so Thor would be Krillin then. Krillin runs around as a plot device because he's homies with everybody. But he doesn't really do much fighting for a long period of time there up until Super.
I mean,
how about that?
Alright, whatever.
I can take that.
I give you that.
I'm talking about once he comes back from Namek. Namek was like the last time that he was like really relevant to fighting. Like, not that he was the strongest person on the team, but he actually did a couple fights here and there. once the Cell Saga came around, he was just like, bro, this fucking sucks. Like, I ain't a Super Saiyan. I ain't dealing with it.
Alright, well, that's enough Dragon Ball comparison for one episode.
That's true.
Yep.
My bad.
We need a counter, man. We really do.
I wish I could say I was working on it, but I'm not.
I'll work on it one day.
But Thor is the just to make sure that we are being clear, he was a combat sumo guy, and his first fight with Kenichi, because he was with the Eight Fists early on in the series. They did a fight in a ring that was made of solid like metal, and it was a cube, so there was no way getting out. It was just fight or get knocked the fuck out.
It was literally just a pit.
Exactly, a metal pit. And so what ends up happening is Thor is, giving them hands to Kenichi because this ring is pretty much dominated for his type of style of combat. Well, Kenichi, and man, this guy's like almost 400 pounds and is over 6 foot tall. Kenichi grabs this guy by one leg and throws his ass 10 feet in the air and out of the pit. Single-handedly just yeets this man straight into the air and out of the ring. And so from then on, he and some of the other people end up being a part of the Shinpaku Alliance. Now, he's one of the heftier guys in the story. Let's just make it as simple as possible because he's a sumo wrestler.
Big man.
And that's his catchphrase, bro, for all the chubby men out there. And yet he don't get to represent the chubby man. Like don't make that his...
Oh.
Like, come on, G. Don't make that his catchphrase and he hardly ever gets to do anything.
Let me chime in on that point real quick.
Go ahead.
How they gonna freaking have him use his catchphrase and then he break that disc last reading? For all the chubby man. Oh, I fucked up.
Yeah. And it's messed up. It's messed up that happened.
I'm going to try to move this conversation along, because we've been hurt by Thor for the last, 3 readings now.
You're right, but he's a bigger guy, and I respect that, so that's why I had to
the Ryo Zanpaku invades Kensei's, the Sage Fist, compound, looking for him, and... they end up wrecking house, and the Shinpaku Alliance fights, or, goes against a couple of his disciples. Takeda, kind of gets his shit rocked, if I'm being real. It looked more even than I feel like it was, and the only reason he won in their future encounters is because he, learned a technique specific to counter it.
He didn't get the chance to, remember? He was because in the middle of the fight, he was like, is this the technique? Is this the inboxing? Is this it? Is this what you wanted to teach me, Shibaka? Is Shiba Sensei?
It's Shiba, yeah.
Man, I love how he was just like, I could teach you this move. And he's like, nah, dude, I'm going to do cool stuff.
And she was like,
why didn't I learn the moves?
He literally did. And you know what? I have to respect the writer for putting that in. And the only reason I say that is because there is a little bit of a oh man, the masters don't give anybody any breaks. And then it's the one time they give someone a break where it's they shouldn't have given me a break. I didn't want this break. I don't know why I want this break. You should have just kept training me, man.
Yeah. So, highlight point, Berserker's back.
Yes.
I knew you would be excited for that. He's been a not subtle silhouette for the past reading and a half.
Yeah,
they
bro.
threw that shuriken. He caught that shuriken in his mouth and then chewed it up.
Then blew a bubble, didn't he?
Yeah, folded it with his mouth.
I think what's craziest, and I just really appreciate this, everyone assumed when he was training under Kensei, it was obviously you learned martial arts from him. And they were like, nah, he just learned, how to train better.
He learned
That's it.
Because that's all he needed. It is freaking elbow Seikuken.
Bruh.
With his hands in his pockets.
And Kenichi's like, yo, wait, what are you doing? Oh, you taking me easy? He's like, nah, I just figured this would work better. I love Berserker. He's so freaking just yeah, I mean, whatever, man. I'm gonna kick your ass. That's That's all there is to it. Like, I have to admit, his fight with Kenichi was not only hilarious, but just since it was prior to Kenichi going ape on the Sage Fist, like Berserker was like, "Yo, pay attention to me, bro."
He looked over at the ass.
You, no,
yeah.
That fight.
It's like, bro, I am the dude. Do you know who the fuck I am? Pay attention to me,
I
Man,
will cleave your head. Like,
I feel really
Literally.
blue-balled by that happening. I'm not gonna lie to you.
you
Like,
said what now?
Kenichi versus Berserker, that would have been dope. And I'm upset, that wasn't a thing.
I'll say, because I did say this to Jin like a couple of days ago, I agree with you. I that would have been a great fight. Natural talent, completely self-taught style versus Kenichi, who is going through all of this stuff and all of the training just to get power. But I have to admit, for what followed instead, that whole Kenichi and Ryuto versus Sage Fist. By the way, Ryuto turns on the.
I was trying to get that in the synopsis, and then you just started talking about it.
Well, hey man, we having a convo. You take it over.
So,
bro.
for more context, after that encounter, when they didn't find the Sage Fist at his compound, the high schoolers all decide to just have a day at a carnival for a while. So they do a beach, and they basically go to what essentially a Carowinds.
That's fair enough.
Like, all of them do that. There's some high school sort of melodrama stuff that actually lighten the mood some. More ship bait, all that stuff. And then
Literally.
Make it feel good before feeling.
And then
really
a bunch of Yomi members attack all of them at nightfall because suddenly the park is deserted, and that's when all of this stuff is happening. They're not just finding random people in the street. The author set up all of these battles as soon as.
Dude, in one chapter, literally all of them are set up in one chapter.
He did do pretty good on that. He didn't lollygag to get into that. He was like, "All right, I'll get a little bit of chill, and you think that things are gonna be okay, but for real, it's about to go down."
And Takeda got his rematch against the dude. We saw Chikage, but she's back to. She was feeling super guilty the entire time she was throwing him.
She was wrecking Ukida and Kisara. And Shiratori, who's apparently a woman.
Yeah,
yeah.
I forgot that was a thing.
I didn't.
They gave her a male voice actor in the dub.
They gave her a male voice actor in the dub.
Yeah, they did. But we got to backtrack and talk about that since we were talking about Ukida before. Cynic, you were doing a good job. Take it away. Tell them what happened with Ukida.
Dude,
Ukida has
the second largest. To quote Jin, Ukida has the second largest harem in the series now.
Yep.
This is true. He's got Freya, he's got Kisara, and he has a girl that we thought was a boy, Shiratori.
And that's only because of the clothes.
It really is only because of the clothes.
And Chikage's half.
Go ahead.
If you count half of Chikage, because she kind of just sits on him.
She's like the lolly character in the harem. There's always one.
How old is she?
How
old is she?
I honestly...
She's between 13 and 14 because she got skipped up a couple grades. They mentioned that because she's a genius. So they basically skipped her up a couple grades so that she could be in the same year or at least around the same year as the other students who were in high school.
That would have her earliest at being 11.
Okay.
I'm looking it up.
That's fair.
Thank you.
It says she's 13.
That's creepy.
I was pretty spot on. 13 to 14.
That feels much less weird, but still kind of weird because Ukida's pretty old.
Well, it's also she looks a lot younger because the whole Kushinada style jujitsu, they're all about keeping super youthfulness. and like
can't
extending.
wait.
You're
life.
right. I forgot about that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know how I forgot.
Also, the mangaka is weird about having like there's like a very thin line between kid and high schooler, but once you cross that line, you become like super busty adult looking.
Unless
Hey, I
you're
think
like
it's
Kisara,
a just differential thing. Yeah, unless you're
just-
Kisara.
or like the flower girl. I don't remember her
But see,
name.
okay, I'll give you the flower girl over Kisara because even though Kisara has small titties, she has thick thighs, so it's like it balances itself out because she's more bottom heavy. At least for Japanese anime culture. Like obviously, if this was American, she could be way more bottom heavy. But like for her to not have titties and then to focus on that, it's pretty clear that's what he was going for, is that she has thicker thighs. And, you know...
It's saving lives, but anyway.
But like, I don't feel like her thighs are any thicker than any of the busty girls. But that's a conversation for another time.
It's
Definitely.
true. This is what happens when we don't
Keep going.
set up early and have the thirst convo before. All right. It starts leaking into conversation, and here we are.
Yeah.
As you were back to the synopsis, you basically covered what happened. Well, yeah, you basically covered what happened.
While
with
we're on
Ukita.
the topic of thirst, there are two pretty thirsty fights. Rachel
God.
versus Renka rematch, and Rimi versus Miyu rematch.
Hey,
And that
what
is-
about,
Those are the
what
kind of
about
fights
Makin
where, like,
face
when
fight?
Jin was warning us to, like, if you don't like fan service, stop reading the manga. Those are the fights that I'm thinking about. All right. Like it is
Am I
just.
we're gonna pretend
remembering
like
all of-
every... Go ahead.
Sorry,
I'm gonna let you
am I
finish.
the only one that remembers all of what Makinsei does?
I
like-
didn't want to get into that.
Okay,
Nah, bro, even
I'm
outside
talking
of
about
that.
thirst. He's the
We'll get
master
there.
of thirst.
We'll get there.
Shigure is fighting, and these last 25 chapters, maybe, she's fighting naked for at least half of them.
Probably more.
I
entire time.
honestly think more,
The
and if you
entire
only
time.
count a jacket, all.
So, yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, for the majority of this time period, she's almost, like, 100% naked. Like, literally, they had stripped her down to only her having a collar around her neck. And someone was like, what is this? We said don't leave anything on her. And then he goes to rip it off, and freaking needles pop out. And she's like, LOL,
Yeah,
thanks.
the in-universe explanation for Shigure not having clothes is because if she has literally any item, she will turn it into a weapon. I'm shocked
Literally.
they didn't think to cut her hair.
Literally. Dude,
Dang.
it's crazy.
Man, that would have
choke
been
somebody
that
out
would have
with
been a
that
wild
hair.
design change.
Yeah.
It
Very.
would have been. I mean, she would have probably looked like an older version of her kid self because her kid self had a buzz cut, if I recall correct.
I
It
think
was a little
just
short.
short and
It was a
shaggy.
little
I don't
short.
remember
It was
being
just really
buzzed.
short, but I
It
mean,
was
it
really
looked
short.
like a buzz cut to me.
That's fair.
But yeah, nah, man. Like, that's why I'm saying everything just matters. Every little thing. Because, like, while you have the Shinpaku Alliance over here training and trying to get a little bit more cohesive as a unit, you also have Shigure trying to keep the weapons people from learning the secrets of steel. And then while you have that happening, you have freaking the Elder over here trapped by another invincible Superman. Which, when we say that, we
I
don't
think
say
could be
that.
Justice's portion.
I'll let him have the actual explanation, but it's just when I say that, like, we use the word Invincible Superman, but the reason that we do that is because that's what the manga says, and it does not joke about that at all. Like, it's not a what if, like, maybe, nah, dude, these people are whacked out, ridiculous, strong, like, so
Yeah.
there's just so much happening at once, and every single drop of it has some meaning or merit to it.
I'm trying to think of
Let's
highlights
see.
from any of those fights.
I mean,
Other than Rinka just being naked.
a bunch of people start using the like Seiko, whatever, the mixing of the two kinds of key.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people
so
start doing
basically,
that.
yeah. So in this whole like Sage Fist arc, I guess, like Remy picks a fight with Miyu because she's like, Ryuto's mine. I'm really trying to be all over Ryuto, and I can't have Ryuto looking at anybody else. So she takes it to the extent that she's willing to destroy her body to do so. She's literally like, hey, yo, Sage Fist, I need to know how to do that thing that destroyed Ryuto's body. And Sage Fist is like, hey, man, I mean, sure, you're a good student, and you got fine muscles, so let's do this. And Ryuto's like, no, don't, are you no.
It's also, like, super interesting that Ogata, the Sage Fist, is like the only master, other than maybe the crazy dude from Tidot, that is willing to like interfere with his disciples' match to do something. He's just like, you're in the middle of a fight, but yeah, I'm gonna teach you this technique. Record.
You know what's worse is that he says, I mean, I kind of already taught you how to do it. You just gotta do it. And she was like, what? And he's like, yeah. Remember that feeling? It's like this. And she was like, what? That's what you were showing me? Oh, bet. She did the shit. I was like, that's why he's such a good teacher. He's like, bro, you already got the tools at your disposal. Just handle business. And it was like, damn, that was a cool pep talk. Let me go ahead and...
But let's not forget when Ogata showed up and Takeda was getting his rematch. He was like, hey, man, just so you know, you could destroy my disciple, and I'll just watch. Go on ahead and do it.
Sometimes you gotta be like that.
I wish
Ogata is so strange.
I wish we would have gotten like a big flashback for him.
Yes.
I feel like I don't understand Ogata like enough. Like I get that he's trying to like move martial arts forward and is experimenting in any way that he can, even if it means killing his disciples.
Or but himself. I do want to be clear about
why?
That. Or himself.
Yeah. It's like, why? Like, at least we understand why Genizard, like, became a monster. Because he was, like, a war hero who couldn't stand peace. But Ogata's just a dick.
Yeah, for the sake of martial arts.
I was about to say, you mind if I take this one for Ogata? Because, like, I feel like...
Don't forget about the thing that happens after the Ryuto Kenichi, because I just remembered, and that's a big deal.
We'll get into that.
Before that, I want to say Ryuto faked being in a wheelchair this whole time.
Yeah, he did.
Like, I feel like that hasn't been talked about. He's not sitting there with Kenichi trying to fight Ogata, like, in a wheelchair. He's been faking it the whole time. So,
yeah,
that was some needed context as well.
Yeah, Jen, you got it, man.
So, okay. So, number one, let me just talk about Ogata first before we get into this fight, because it's going to make a lot of things more clear. So, Ogata, although we don't know his origin, we have seen him enough to see what kind of person he is. So, Ogata does not see himself as evil, and he does not do anything to portray himself as evil. His love of martial arts exceeds his love of anything else, whether that be people, whether that be his own self. Anything to make martial arts evolve, become better, stronger, more useful, more, just everything. To make martial arts, and you see this in another person later on, and we'll get to that later, but it's more important because he's the master who portrays that the best. So much so that we have this Ryuto, and we have this Kenichi fighting him. They even before they fight him, Kenichi walks up to him and everyone's like, no, don't walk up to Ogata. He could cleave you in half, no problem. Like, he could spit on you, die, dude. It's not even a fight. Like, don't walk up to him. And they just shake hands. And Kenichi is not afraid at all. And Kenichi is the scariest nigga in the story. I'm sorry, I just gotta be honest. Kenichi is scared of everything. And he walks up to Ogata, no problem. Like, hey, I don't think I've thanked you enough. Time. Exactly. I don't think I thanked you enough for that time in the mountains. And he just pats his head like he's like a son or a nephew or something. Like, he just does not have any malice towards Kenichi. Where you've seen other masters in the, One Shadow Knight Fist be like, don't fucking come near me because I might be liable to beat your ass. Like, he's like, yeah, no, it's cool.
Not worried at all.
And yeah, like Kenichi says in during that like situation, he's like, I can't, even as despicable as Ogata is, I cannot hate him, and I do not understand why.
See, but a couple of maybe a chapter or two later, I think Kenichi changed his mind.
So
Man.
Now, why did Kenichi step to a master to fight him? Well, I think we all know Miyu gets slapped up. And it's because Miyu had some nuts on her and jumped at Ogata, and he's like, I don't think you want that. I don't think you want this smoke. And she went after it, and he said, bitch, and then smacked her ass out the way like, okay, I hope that was it. I hope you done.
And then Kenichi hit that, boy!
Yeah.
This is what happens when you get air puffed in his chest from facing that master that one time and hearing his masters talk about it later.
He even said, like, look, bro, I already know what's good. I know I ain't gonna beat your ass, but I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna make you remember. Don't you ever put your hands on me, you again. And then he goes to fight Ryuto's like, wait a minute, son. I've been waiting for this moment too. Don't count me out. Hold up. And then he stands up and everybody's like, hold up. He can walk. He's like, I can want to walk.
I'm about to whoop that ass. I done figured some things out. You just
I've been watching you, master. You thought I was over here chilling this whole time, but I've been keeping my eyes open. Eyes and ears, bro. You think I'm wearing these glasses for fun? Nah.
I'll admit that I was, as much as I was disappointed by the Berserker fight, the not Berserker fight, I wasn't excited to see Kenichi and Ryuto fight Ogata, but I was excited to see them working together again.
Man, they did
I would like
so
to
clean.
piggyback off of that.
Go ahead.
I would like to say this shows that Kenichi and Ryuto are indeed best friends, for the record. That teamwork, better than his teamwork with Miyu. They were in sync on some like, man, you ain't even got to say it, bro. I already know. You going for the low, I'm going for the high. You going for the right, I'm going for the left. Let's get this dude. Flank him. Let's go. They on some like Call of Duty type shit.
Yeah, man. It's not even like he's barely making call outs. Like he's like, Kenichi, go, like, and then he just knows where to go, and it's one of the best like tag team fights we've seen in the story period. As many times as we've seen multiple characters fight together or have fights simultaneously, even the one where we have Kenichi and Boros and Alexander and Kisame, that fight's smooth and it's cool and all, but no, this fight is just so visceral. They're going for blood, and it's even more crazy because Ogata's sitting there like praising them while they're coming for his head.
Yeah, but he's whooping their ass too. No, let's not play. He is whooping their ass. Like Ryuto's like, all right, man, I got 30 seconds in this powered up juice mode before my body gives out. And Kenichi's like, word, bet, say less, let's whoop his ass. And
this is like, all we need, son.
And Ogata's like, hey man, you better use them 30 seconds wisely. You doing pretty good right now. I'm still whooping your ass. Let's just, keep it frank.
He's just
but
like,
you're
man,
doing pretty good.
You're trying to kill me. I love that. I'm so proud.
He literally said, and that's why I can't hate Ogata, because he said, I'm so proud of you. I've been waiting for one of my students to take my head. It sucks that you're not ready to do it, and I'm going to have to bust that ass. But I'm proud of you for trying. I respect you. Yeah. That's my little
the way
man
you
right
said
there.
It was so perfect. It's like, man, I'm proud of you. It really sucks that you chose the wrong time, wrong place, wrong scenario. But man, I gotta give it to you. I'm gonna whoop your ass, but I gotta give it to you. I'm proud of you.
Literally, like, I'm gonna bust that ass, but I gotta give it to you. I've been waiting for this moment. I've been waiting. And not even in a malicious way. Not like, I hated you this whole time and I've only trained you to destroy you. Nothing like that. And I've seen that in other anime, where it'll be like, oh, I've only ever trained this person so that they could be strong enough to challenge me or something. No, it was nothing like that. It was just like, literally like, if you're ready to take the mantle and make martial arts stronger, I'm here for it. You're gonna have to show me you're ready, but I'm here for it. At any time, any place, doesn't matter. I could be eating. We can go ahead. Like, and that's why I can't hate him, because it's not vitriol, it's not hatred. He doesn't do any of these things to be evil or dark. Now, you could say the things he does is evil, and that's fair. But he doesn't do it out of a sake of evilness or hatred for people. You know what I'm saying? The fact that he has so much praise and love and acknowledgement of all of his people. Like, even when Ryuto's like, stop her, stop Atlas from fighting, she's gonna die. He's like, no, I respect her too much to do that. She wants this, and I'm gonna let her have this. It is disrespectful as her master to step in right now and stop her from doing what she wants to do with her martial arts. And Ryu's was like,
picky
nigga,
about that
what?
disrespectful thing. He's kind of picky about that. I'm not going to interfere.
Yeah, I really like Ogata. I just wish I would have understood why he was like that better. That's all I was getting at earlier.
Fair.
Like, I want to know what made him that way. Like, I feel like we
And-
don't really understand why he left Ryo Zanpaku and became, like, why he's just all about killing.
I believe they forced him out, though. I'm pretty sure that, like, Elder seen it in his eyes, like, nah, there's a darkness behind those eyes. And I think Ma Kensei and Akizume were actually going to train him, even regardless of what Elder said, but it just, something happened. Either he killed somebody or something. They were like, oh, yeah, we can't fuck with this guy no more. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of the either he killed someone or something, as much as I do love the Ryuto Kenichi Ogata
Man.
beatdown, the thing
Oh,
that
man.
follows that. So here, if you don't mind, Jen, I'll
Yeah,
just
you can
tag team that
definitely.
a bit.
you can go ahead. Oh.
So the thing that stops Ogata, because let's be real here, Ogata said he was going to kill Kenichi and Ryuto because they stepped to him. He was going to kill them because they stepped to him. Now the thing that stops this is dun da 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 Tanaka-san, guy with the glasses, the basically Kenichi a little bit older. He steps onto the scene and into the fray. And Ogata's like, oh, y'all are cute and all, but hold up. What's up, Tanaka-san? I see you then stepped into the realm of masters. Welcome. You coming at me? And Tanaka's like, yeah, bruh, I'm coming for your whole life. I done spent every moment for this. I'm about to kill you. And so they start fighting. And Ogata's literally like toying with him for a minute. He's like, okay, I thought you were gonna kill me. And Tanaka's like, yo, what the heck is going on? I know you could do better than this. Ogata's like, and I have to use this quote because to me it's one of my favorite quotes that he has. He says, I'm not so boorish as to kill someone without fighting intent. Or sorry, without killing intent. And
meant
then
that
proceeds to basically teach Tanaka how to give into that darkness so that he could proceed to kill him.
Literally.
Oh, man.
Bruh, I was not ready for that panel.
Neither was I. We also get a flashback, by the way, about what's
do.
going on. And so I'm going to just sum it up because a lot happens, but summing it up, Ogata kills Tanaka's master. We already knew that. We had that background. But what makes it worse, you guys know that phone call that Tanaka will get sometimes? You know, ringing on the line, his wife and, kid, and, I gotta get home, and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, well, they're dead. Because Ogata killed them. So what happened was, after Ogata killed the master, or Tanaka's master, the master's daughter, who was Tanaka's wife, and carrying their unborn child, stepped to Ogata. Now, I will give this to Ogata. He said a number of times, hey, look, step down, you don't want this. Hey, look, stop doing this. I'm gonna have to kill you if you don't. Okay, I'm gonna return it in kind. I'm really trying to tell you, you don't want this smoke. Okay, fine, fuck it, I'm about to kill your ass. And he does. And he even says himself there was an miscalculation. He meant to kill the wife, but he did not know there was an unborn child in her belly. And I think, y'all give me your opinion on this, I believe that's what he was repenting for. Remember how when you first meet Ogata, he's in the, what was it, the forest in the middle.
Huh.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, but yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, because that would be the only thing that would make sense that he would repent for, and it all happened around the same time. Because let's look at it this way. From what we know, why Ogata went there in the first place, because I think it's like the Deep Valley or something. I can't remember what the name of the place is called, but where he is, that he meets Kenichi for the first time, and he's doing all that repenting and shit. All of that happens in the same day. So he kills somebody for the first time. That's the Tanaka's master. Then he kills another person and then has an unintended, death. He kills someone who could not make the choice for themselves. So it wouldn't make sense for him to be repenting about the master or the wife, because they were both martial artists. He did give at least the wife, hey, this is the disclaimer, like, stop or you're gonna die. But the only thing that he seems to have any type of remorse about is killing that child. Well, the unborn child. So, that's my theory, headcanon.
I hardly think it's a theory. Like, I did not think to make that observation. That's pretty good. Honestly, that might have, like, bumped up this overall series rating for me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I mean, and I think psychologically, this whole fight hurts me. Number one, I've always wanted to be a dad, so I could only imagine me finally, getting ready. I'm like, my girl's pregnant, it's time to go, and then someone kills her. I don't know how fucking snapped I would go. I don't know what would happen in my mind, but I could only imagine it. But the author takes care not to just make him angry. Okay? And I think that's important, because it's easy to just be like, oh, you just be angry and mad and be ready to kill the person. But no, he takes it a step further and is just like, he has mental health issues now. And he needs to make that phone call to get, like, to cure himself, not cure himself, but to stave off the anxiety and the depression, the pain that he's feeling. That's why he always gets that phone call. And it shows because there's a point where he's even talking to Kenichi where he has to take that call to just, like, breathe, basically, to not have an anxiety attack and not have a panic attack. And it's so cool that he kind of slips that in there, because it would have just been easy to just been like, oh, he's a really angry and, I just want revenge, and once I get revenge, I'll feel better. It's not that. Like, it's so much more, and I just respect that he kind of took the time to show, like, yeah, even if he got revenge, that anxiety, that depression's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, even if he did succeed, he's gonna have trauma for the rest of his life. You know what I mean? And it's just... It's hurtful.
Even more so, like, it was said earlier, Tanaka is Kenichi in a bad end timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, he's such a perfect parallel to Kenichi. Like, it hurts so hard.
Everything from falling in love with his master's daughter.
Yeah, like, he just is Kenichi if his master died.
Mm-hmm. And his master was exactly like Elder, where it's like, no, we don't do that marriage shit in here, boy. You better get out of here with that shit.
Yeah, you gotta beat me.
But didn't you say if I won the tournament that we could go out? Only holding hands is allowed. Oh, man. Talking about it again makes me like it even more than I did before. Because when I was reading it, I was like, oh my god. And now I'm just like, man, this was really good.
Yeah. So, for all of that, for all of what we just said, all of that Tanaka has at stake, all of the reason, all of the everything, even with Ogata, basically helping him fall into bloodlust, he ends up getting killed by Ogata, and honestly, it was brutal. That panel, I had to put the whole thing down for a second, because, like, it hurt. Like, to see how Ogata killed him, said knee to the chest, elbow to the back, and that was just, it hurt.
He popped his head!
Yeah. he killed him.
It's worse because it was one of those, like, even though Ogata was the stronger fighter, and we've seen this time and time again, stronger fighter does not automatically mean win, and it was at that point in that last panel where you knew he was throwing his life away. There's no question there, but it looked like, oh, he might get it. He might severely injure him or kill him too or take him with. No. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
You're like, oh shit, is he getting... Oh no.
Like... To compare what this, to give you an imagery of what this looks like, imagine a fly, right? And this fly is literally like anime fly, right? This fly is getting his whole monologue on. The background music is playing. Everything's getting hype. And it's like, all right, I'm going. And the fly charges towards you. And you see the epic animation. And then smack, it's dead. That's honestly, like, I hate it. But that's kind of how that felt.
Man, this is Ogata turning off Tanaka's theme music.
Yeah. He said, nah, bro. I don't know what you doing.
As much as I wanted the anime to continue, I don't know if I would be able to handle that animated.
I would have cried.
It's already hurtful in panel, but just imagine having a fluid, non-stop animation with music. You've rooted for this guy. You're like, I don't really believe in the killing fist, but if anybody deserves to use the killing fist on somebody, it's this motherfucker in this moment. And then you're rooting, and you giving him the exception, and you're like, and he dies, and you're like, motherfucker.
And not just that, the way he dies. Like, they would have had to come up with sounds for that. I'm not sure I would have been ready.
I would have cried, bro. I would have cried and been mad at the same time. Because, I mean...
I already empathize with him because, like Sek, I am also a father. So, like, all of that just hurt. Man. We should move on. I feel like, unless somebody has, like, any other piece to say about it, I feel like we're just gushing over it at this point. Cool? Mic check?
Yeah, fight individually.
It was
but
an
it has to
emotional
do with Ogata. Ogata leaves. And I'm saying that very distinctly because he doesn't just kill this guy, turn on Ryuto and Kenichi and kill them. Because they're still alive. He could just turn around and just, alright, that sucked. Alright, decapitate.
Crap, it's Discord. Hey man, I don't know if you can hear us, but Discord is being real screwy right now.
Fist person, but he's not like the Demon Fist, where the Demon Fist revels in death. The Demon Fist back then was literally making it so his underlings would kill each other for no reason. Like, not that they failed, not that they're disloyal. He was just like, yeah, I'm bored. Both of y'all go fight to the death. That's not Ogata. He is a different, clearly, distinctly different person. So I thought that was important to throw in there too.
I appreciate what you said, but I'm not sure the audience heard it because I had some issues hearing Discord audio just now. And I came in like midway through your thoughts.
Just to be as simple as possible, like, he did not, after killing this cat, go and kill Kenichi and Ryuto. He decided to just leave. And he made a decision because he could have easily there was no other masters there. There was nobody to protect them. If he wanted their heads, he could have took it. And it shows that he's different from someone like the Demon Fist, because the Demon Fist would have done it. He would have taken both their heads as trophies and left after killing that man.
I mean, honestly, even Hongo might have. Because, like, Hongo is definitely the kind of person that's like, well, if you step to me, we finishing this. Minus Sakaki.
Yeah.
So, not to say that Hongo's evil. Still my favorite Yami, one Shadow Fist. Well, unless you're counting Miyu's father, but
we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Let's give him a little break real quick.
Let's so war were declared.
Yeah.
Yeah, we finally figure out like what Eternal Sunset actually is.
World War
AKA
III.
World War III. Yeah, see, I was thinking this.
Yeah, which I personally don't know how I feel about this martial arts series becoming like global conflict.
Yeah, that was kind of
like, it just felt like
sudden.
Like, Kenichi was just fighting people, he was getting stronger, and then all of a sudden, alright, we're gonna go overthrow some governments, boys. Get in.
Hold on, I do want to defend the story a little bit. It does come a little suddenly, but I do think that the way he explains it makes sense. So basically speaking, they're doing this to put people back into a point where they have to use martial arts again. And the reason I make that apparent is because it's like, okay, if we shoot off these bombs and we start destroying cities and making it so that they basically get bombed back into the fucking Stone Age, they're gonna have to go back to martial arts. You won't have as many guns available. You won't have, bomb manufacturers and the access to nukes and all that shit. You'll have to go back to hand-to-hand.
You also won't
have
a planet.
I mean, I feel you, but I'm saying in their explanation, in their universe, you know what I'm saying? In their universe, that's what they're saying.
They're trying to create Fist of the North Star.
Basically.
Good lord!
That's basically what they're trying to do. I mean, that's a good, literally a good example.
That's it. That's literally what that is. Oh my god.
Like, they're trying to go to the Fist in the Store. You're not lying. They're trying to go to that universe. That's exactly what they want.
I would like to point out, by the way, that what is a gun to anybody that is master class and above? What is a gun? What is an AR?
Literally.
Like, seriously,
something that stops people from something that stops people to getting to master class.
No. I got my anti-master class access right here.
Literally, and it's funny too because it's like the only way to stop a master with a gun is to have a hostage, and half the masters, aka the Killing Fist, may not even care then. So that's the best you gonna get. That's best case scenario.
I just like archery is considered a martial art, so at what point is gun not? Like that's.
I mean,
my
they
thing.
do have a master of guns. They do.
They do.
It's okay for him, but it's not okay for anyone else.
I mean, I do want to be clear about something, okay? It is important to mention that they make it clear there is a difference between these people who are reaching the pinnacle of their skill and these people who are just using things as either sport or for just the sake of using them. And the reason I make that important distinction is because there are plenty of people in the martial arts world, but not many of them are recognized as masters, let alone are recognized as people who would be in the same fold as someone like Kenichi and them. You know what I mean? So it could be the same way with guns, where it's like all these people are using guns, but they're not like gun masters. They're and another way of looking at it is that I can pick up a knife, but the weapons users wouldn't recognize me as a weapon user. They'd just be like, he's a nigga with a knife. Like
it's literally societal gatekeeping.
I mean, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just like simplified it as much as I could based on what you said. It is societal gatekeeping.
It is what it is. But it ain't wrong.
We can have a conversation about gatekeeping another time.
Yeah.
Warwood declared.
Yeah, Warwood declared.
Oh, yeah, we meet the Kodachi Master. He's like around for like 5 chapters before he's even like name dropped. He's just getting things together, meeting people,
being a sinister shadow.
Before we continue, I do have to mention the only way to become an invincible Superman. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead. I was basically about to get into Invincible Superman anyways, because that happens like pretty early in that arc.
Well, there you go. Good segue. Jin, get ready to pass that mic.
Okay, so here's what I was gonna say. The only way to become an invincible Superman is to have a beard down to your belly.
Yep.
You gotta look like Santa Claus. That's it.
Why didn't you tell me that's what you were doing?
Exactly. That's what I was gonna mention.
You got me. It wasn't gonna be a secret.
Okay, it makes sense when I think about it. You had already read Kenichi before, and you were working on growing that amazing beard.
So he could be an invincible Superman.
Bro,
that's what's happening.
I'm with him right now. I'm next to him. It flows.
Oh. Hey, Justice, can you bend guns in half yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's not long enough.
Not long enough, okay.
But he's getting there. He's getting there.
I'm working
He
on
didn't say he'll never be able to do it. He just said not yet. Alright, go ahead with the Superman. Go ahead.
So, pretty early in the arc, the Elder gets like a call to adventure, as he is often wont to do. And so he gets on the boat, and he's just like, alright, gotta go do some stuff. Except, like, boat guy, you want to, like, not be shady and in a disguise anymore? And he's like, what? Oh, you know. And it's the Kadachi guy again. Still hasn't been named. He's just there. Drops it. No, they don't even drop him off at the island, does it? Like, the boat stops.
They fight, and then he just, like, dips. Kadachi guy's like, nah, fuck this.
Because we have seen Elder run on water before. This isn't new.
Yep.
He ran from the Japan like shoreline into international waters when they were fighting
the Laughing Fist.
Diego.
Mm-hmm. With no special equipment, just feet.
No, just walking, just running. He gets to this island, and he's like, "Huh, there's some wild key going on here. What's going on?" And of course, the weapons division has its own version of the One Shadow Nine Fists. With a really dumb English translation name. I don't even remember what it was. It was just really wordy.
Division group, right? Oh, you're talking about that.
The 8 Shadows of Destruction or something.
It was like the 8 sword sins of something.
Yeah.
Too much. It was too much. That's what it was.
Yes.
Continue, Justice.
And so, it turns out that the leader of that group, whatever his name is, I don't remember that either, but he uses 2 katanas, is on the island, and he's also an invincible Superman, but he's also only a silhouette, because he never gets colored in. He's just a silhouette. But he's on par. He's the first person we've seen that's on par with the Elder.
Period.
Literally.
And so they're gonna fight for the next 60 chapters off and on.
Yeah, like, it during weeks, having to, like, fight each other while looking for scraps for food surviving on this island.
And for the majority of that time, they do not sleep. I say majority for a reason.
Yeah.
Justice will get into that later.
Like foraging, like catching fish and eating roots and whatnot as they can.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole new meaning to fight.
Wild.
Oh man.
So the Shinpaku Alliance does something useful again.
Trying to remember what they did this time. Oh yeah, because war were declared.
Honestly,
you got this one, Nick.
That arc is a little bit of a blur. They find one of the Yami members' sisters, I think.
Yes.
And she's like, "Yo, I don't want him to like mess with Japan anymore. Please make him stop."
She's actually the sister of one of the convoluted weapons division named people.
Yeah, one of them. Honestly, that whole thing was weird.
Shigure.
Oh yeah.
Is that when Shigure gets kidnapped?
Yeah.
That's around then, yeah.
Yes.
All the masters.
It's right before that. Shigure gets kidnapped before that happens, I think.
Yeah.
She did.
That's why they're looking for. That's why they get in contact. Is because they're looking for Shigure.
Yep.
Yeah, all the masters go fight all the One Shadow Nine Fists.
And their power multiplies when they fight together.
They literally use the power of friendship.
Yay, this is a power of friendship that I can dig, though.
It's like, we of the Shadow Nine cannot duplicate this. Except for one of them.
Friendship.
But I feel like there was some backstory there that was supposed to be like implemented on and then didn't get its chance to get fleshed out.
Because
it feels like the Kushinita, the Elder one, and the Elder definitely have some history, and I feel like it's implied she was part of the Sausage Ken, like earlier in her life, and then switched over at some point, but we didn't really get
I think she was during the first or second Eternal Sunset or whatever. Like, the previous Eternal Sunset to this one, she was a part of that one as one of the Saving Fists. I think after that moment, she became a part of the Killing Fist.
I actually don't think that. The way that the very last, like, 0.5 chapter...
Oh, you're right.
Plays out when they're sitting there at the table and she says, we have one win each. Like, we're at 1 win and 1 loss each. I assume that means World War II happened and she won. and World War III didn't happen, so the Elder won.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then that doesn't explain World War One.
I mean, maybe they were on the same side then. I don't know.
Or, yeah.
I guess that's fair.
There were just inklings that there was more story between those two that didn't happen.
Literally.
I'm telling you, he was not done telling his story.
Honestly, I'm gonna cut in one more time for this one. I feel like they skipped Kushinada on this. She should be an invincible superwoman. I'm sorry. Some of the stuff she was doing in them last couple chapters, she was like, they were like, don't let her aura touch you. And these are Ryos and Paku masters. These aren't just scrub masters. These aren't no-name disciples or something. This is the actual, these are those dudes. And they're like, don't let her aura even touch you. Don't even let these like imagery of her hands touch you or she will fuck you up. And it's like, yeah, no, she's Superwoman level then. Don't give me this BS. Why? I know you didn't say it, but she didn't demand.
Look, man, if she's manhandling 4 Masters of Ryo Zanpaku at the same time, which she has basically done by herself prior to this, whole group situation, she already had that.
I agree, but they never call her that, and I think it's lack of respect to not consider her legendary. Like, I'm just saying.
I want to talk about aura stuff closer to when it actually happens in the series, but I definitely want to have that conversation because I have opinions.
Man, listen. No, we're not going to get there yet. You just said wait. All right. So war were declared. They eventually found out when Shigure's getting like hidden out, and also a missile's getting launched.
Oh yeah, she fights all of the rest of the 8 weapons. Which was pretty wild.
Like, oh, that's how. Yeah, you're right. That's how she got captured.
Yeah, because Kenichi and Miyu were with her, and because she could have got away if they weren't with her, but she had to
protect them.
Make a tough call.
He said, "I'm about to become one with all y'all weapons." They were like, "Wait, I thought the pinnacle was just becoming one with your own weapon." She was like, "Nah, G, I'm a prodigy. I got this."
Which, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
It's not as bad as what we see at the end. I'm going to put it that way.
I agree. This is the beginning of, what the fuck is happening in this series right now.
Bro, yeah, because some of the stuff that happens after after this point is just like, I'm like, huh? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, they definitely start hitting superhuman level tier. And I don't use that terminology, just easily. I'm talking about, this is, street level or higher Marvel DC superhero level. We're talking about Naked Death beat Cap and Black Panther in a fight. That's how, superhuman these people are starting to get. And they have super soldier serums in them. So when I say they're, reaching superhuman levels of ability, I don't say that lightly.
They're also some of the quote unquote techniques get a little out there, but I think that's what Justice was alluding to with the aura thing. So we'll get to that.
Excuse me. All right. So
man, he introduces so many characters in this arc.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
more than I can keep up with. There's one particular point. Will y'all let me talk about Miyu's dad and that whole scenario when we get there? Because I really.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be a whole ass conversation.
Yeah, I'm sitting here I really want to talk about it, but we're not there yet. So
he introduces 8 weapons users, most of which I think have names. I don't have any clue if some of them do or don't. They're disciples. They're disciples who definitely don't have names. I don't think any of them get named.
It's true. I don't think they do. They just say their weapon that they use.
What's the name of the final boss disciple? Because I don't remember.
I don't remember his name either.
Satomi's one of his names.
Okay, so he gets a name. All right.
No, yeah, he's named when he first shows up. It's just that he doesn't do jack all until the last 30 chapters.
Yeah, he's hyped up a lot, but he doesn't end up getting to do a lot. But I'm gonna say something. I'm actually kind of happy they did that, and the only reason is because normally I wouldn't be, but I don't think the things he could do could have been done more than once and not be.
Yeah.
I don't think he could have done what he did with him in the end of the story any other time and then have him fight again. He'd have had to kill him off or defeat him or whatever, like he did with Sho, because the techniques he ends up getting to use are like those
Are dumb.
Yeah, they're
dumb.
pretty not only broken, but it's like, how do you escalate past that without starting to reach expert and master level? I'll wait till we get there, but it does start to get to that point where he's if he's not an expert, he's getting into that point with some of the techniques he's using.
Yeah. Like, all of them, some more of the Karemi Sago people, some ninjas get introduced.
Oh yeah, more eugenics ninjas.
There are a couple, like, other weapons masters that show up for reasons that do things, like that monk shovel guy and his friend.
Oh,
The
yeah,
punch
he
knife
sure
guy.
enough does. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, they show up so that the disciples can fight masters.
Yeah, they got, like,
I
there's
do
just...
want to say they show just how much they've grown because they split up to fight these two different masters and they beat them. It's not a oh man, we had to use every ounce of our energy and we're all fainted now, like we barely made it out of here alive.
Shinpaku Alliance was falling behind in their master fight, though. I am gonna say that. Like Yomi,
I agree.
Yomi and
I
Ru,
agree.
like them, they put that man to sleep, but Shinpaku Alliance was slacking a little bit.
I mean, I agree, but you got to also remember, like, only 3 out of like the 6 people who were fighting with the Shinpaku actually do anything. Unfortunately,
With Ukita and Thor being there, they don't count. So
yeah. It's not to be mean to them. I love them as characters, but they just don't get the play they deserve. So it was pretty much Freya,
Listen, man,
Kisara.
Ukita got the harem. I don't know what else.
Yeah,
more,
he
I don't know what he got the harem and he's still alive. I don't know what more you can ask for.
Yeah,
I mean,
he took a couple blades too.
Some cool stuff, Thor could have had some cool stuff. That's all I'm gonna say.
But, like, that's... I get where you guys are coming from on those two. I mean, Thor is like, he doesn't fight. Like, that was the whole thing. He lost to Kenichi, so he's not fighting, like, non-sanctioned matches. And every once in a while, he kind of, like...
Stretches that
He
rule.
tries to stretch it, but, like, I feel like he's very set in that, and I like that.
Okay.
And Ukita's just a
that,
guy.
honestly.
He's just a dude who's not, like... He's in the martial arts world, but he's not devoted to martial arts like the rest of the characters.
Ukita's like if I decided to pick up judo again and got my black belt. Like, I like martial arts, and I can practice, and I'm not bad. I even have I even have the right body type for it. But, like... That's not what I'm about. That's not what I would be. Like, Ukita's like the closest thing to a normal human in that group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to
Like-
say Nijima, and then I thought about it. It's Nijima.
I was about to say, don't ever bring up Nijima and Normal in any conversation. That's like trying to bring up Siegfried and Normal in a conversation. That man had his neck broke. He was like, nah, I don't think my neck's broke. Never mind.
Let's talk about Siegfried.
Can we talk about how...
Because I did forget.
Can we talk about how
Go ahead. I think you're about.
Can we talk about how Siegfried's music
I think you're about.
funds all of the Shinpaku Alliance?
Almost single-handedly for a while there.
Like, what?
Can we also talk about how Siegfried in his fight against Tanimoto, aka Hermit, is like, I'm gonna show you the power of friendship. You've been rejecting it, and it's coming, man. I'm gonna show you what this power is all about. Loses the fight. Yeah, man. It's because you ain't got the power of friendship with Tanimoto's foot on his chest.
Yeah.
Man. You don't have the power of friendship. That's why. And Tanimoto is even like, bro, like,
What are
I
you
get
talking
that,
about?
but you lost.
Yeah,
How are you
literally,
talking
he's like
shit?
that.
You're on the ground, and he's like, because the power of friendship. Don't you fuck with it. It's the power of friendship.
I love how
I think
much
to be clear,
Tanimoto
though-
takes after his own master, because they just don't give a fuck about any alliances or anything that's going on. They just fight because they want to fight.
That's true.
Yeah.
I do want to point something out, though. Although technically Siegfried lost, Siegfried didn't die. And I want to make that important because if Tanimoto was full-on killing Fist, he should have, to declare victory, killed Siegfried. So there is some type of moral victory there for Siegfried.
I don't really see Tanimoto like as an actual part of the Killing Fist.
Yeah, same.
Like he's just kind of like there. He's doing what he wants, like his master.
Yeah,
sometimes he saves people. Sometimes he just leaves and takes their money. Sometimes he murders. You know, it's whatever he wants.
Because I also wouldn't argue that like he couldn't kill Siegfried if he had his boot literally on his chest.
No, I know he could have.
It's the power of friendship, okay? Alright, Siegfried made it very clear. He could not kill him because the power of friendship, alright?
And that's why I said it was a moral victory. That's why I said moral victory, not a literal victory. He lost the fight, but I feel like he won the moral battle.
Alright, let's just kind of blast towards the end, because I know it's a holiday for some people. I don't want to make this episode super long, and I want to make sure that we get to the next series, or get to the voting for the next series.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, like, confrontations happen. The Shinpaku, everybody's fighting towards the end. It's all out chaos. There's a point where like some of the members of Yomi are fighting some of the weapons division. I really don't know how or why that started, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Because of Chikage.
But like, why? She like calls her master. Is like, hey, we're doing this for your honor, master. And I'm just like,
and she's like, no,
your master,
no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't fucking do that. And Chikage's like, yeah,
but
so
honor.
we're doing it for your honor.
But like, her master is the mastermind of the whole thing. Like, she's the villain.
She really is.
Chikage was trying to justify her actions, though, because here's the thing. Chikage could have killed any one of those disciples anytime she wanted, but she was on the precipice of figuring out who she wanted to be. Did she want to be a Killing Fist? Did she want to be a Saving Fist? She needed to figure that out. And at that point, she was getting closer to the answer, but she still respected and loved her master enough to not want to abandon her teachings. So she was like, oh, you know what? I will respect my master by not having us dishonor her by not beating our enemies one-on-one. Ah.
Yeah.
That's what she did. That's what she did. She tried to justify it.
She was like, this jumping crap that the weapons division people seem to be so fond of is weak sauce. Because notice, when that whole ordeal started, a lot of it was literally the Yomi members were like, I'm just going to sit back. Y'all do what they do. We just going to sit back. And they didn't really start doing anything until, like, basically Chikage was like, hey, I'm not about this jumping lifestyle, so let's jump the weapons divisions, guys.
Even Berserker was like, fuck it, alright.
Berserker of all characters would have been the one is kind of like Tanimoto to me, where he's just like, I do what I want.
He really is.
Like, he's just like, I want to fight, and whatever will get me the fight, I'll fight for it.
You're right. But I mean, with that said, though, he did not jump in against Ryo Seppaku like that. He was not putting as much effort in. As soon as they started fighting the weapons group, he was like, oh, yes, this is what I was waiting for. Let's go.
I believe that's when he catches the shuriken in his mouth and crunches on it, isn't it?
No, that was when they got introduced the first time. Like, I think that was last reading early.
Yeah, it was like the end of the last reading. Or the beginning of this reading.
I think it was beginning of this reading, because they were just introducing some of the weapon disciples, and
that's right. You're right.
Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Oh yeah, y'all say y'all strong. Let's go. Let's fight a little bit." And then one of them threw a shuriken at all three of them, and they all caught it in their own way. Berserker, of course, was like, "LOL, I'm gonna catch it in my mouth and bend it with my teeth because I'm a psychopath."
Man,
maybe he should have been trained by the Demon God Fist, man.
Oh, dude, I would have a field day.
Jahasad would have been like, you're learning Penkatsu a lot, whether you like, I don't give a fuck about your self-taught style. You're learning Penkatsu a lot.
I was just making a joke about him eating a pineapple without, like, skinning it, guys. I wasn't trying to be that deep, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Even outside of your joke, he'd be an animal if he learned Pentecost Light. I'm sorry, I don't think any of the other students would be able to fight Berserker if he learned Pentecost Light. And that's not because Berserker in and of himself would make Pentecost a lot better. It's just because the Demon Fist God, or Demon God Fist, or whatever, is freaking ridiculous. I mean, you've seen what he did to Miyu in like a month, maybe. Imagine him doing that with someone else who had natural talent like Berserker, who already has instincts at his disposal, and then he learns Pentecost Slot, and he's being forced to go through all this ridiculous training. I don't know, man.
I don't know. I actually don't think I agree. I think the reason that Berserker is so strong is because, well, I mean, Ogata's training was just, we're going to figure out what you're good at and push it to past your limits. And so, like, he's focused his strengths in, like, his just natural ability and, like, just being prepared for anything. Like, I don't know if Pentecost Slot would have actually, like, matched him as well as his own, like, personalized Baki-esque style.
That might be true.
I would definitely say that, like, Berserker was more learning how to learn than learning how to fight. Like, he was learning how to improve himself and how to train so he could be more efficient with his own methods.
I feel like it has more to do with Ogata be respecting his students more than that necessarily had to do with it being better for him. I only say that because, again, as we see multiple times, Ogata does not force anything on his students. He didn't force Ryuto to use the fusion of the key. He didn't make Atlas do it. He didn't force any of them to do anything they didn't want to do. He only improved them in ways they wanted to do.
Well, and they also, all of his disciples do kind of specifically say that he does specialization training. Like, all of his disciples did actually say that. Like,
because even Rimi's like, I'm really fast, so we worked on my speed.
Yeah,
it's blind. He was like, yeah, because of his whole key perception thing, and I only know how to do the stranglehold.
Let me speak about that guy real quick. As somebody on the blind spectrum, yes, it's a spectrum. You can talk to me about it later, but like, the author picked like one of the perfect martial arts to be done by a blind person. Like, even disregarding the whole key sensing thing, because that is, some of that supernatural stuff that we don't really have much of here in the real world. It's like, joint manipulation and stuff is very easy to just feel. As somebody who's, like, practiced, like, judo and jiu-jitsu blindfolded. Like, I just wanted to say it was a perfect fit, and I'm glad that not only that there was a blind character here, but that, like, they also picked a martial art that fit. Because too many times you hear about, like, the blind swordsman, or, like, or trying to learn striking martial arts and doing things with, like, ranged weapons. It's like, that's not practical at all.
I think it could be done in theory a little bit more practical than you think, but keep going.
What did you say? I didn't hear you exactly.
Oh, I said I think that the blind swordsman is slightly more practical than you think, but that's a whole different conversation for another time. Continue.
Yeah, I was just saying that. I was just saying it is a good pick. Is all. I really respected it, and I don't talk about being visually impaired a lot, so here we are.
Hey. Let's see. So, yes. Wait, was there any other highlights that anybody wanted to get out before we continue with the synopsis?
The next...
that's happening... This is hardly a synopsis at this point.
Yeah, really, once the war starts, it's just kind of everything's happening. Like, Shinpaku Alliance plus the members of Yomi versus the Weapon Disciples.
Weapon Division.
And then you have the Saving Fist Masters, like Ryo Zanpaku, Freya's grandpa, and the dude with the hoe. versus Yami, the one Shadow Nine Fists, except for the one Shadow, and the Weapon Masters. Which, man, what a fight. And then you have Kenichi Miyu and that government guy who's a master, who we haven't talked about yet, going into the base to disable... Oh, and Nijima going to disable the missile.
Shiba, too.
Well,
yeah, I was going to say, I think Shiba ends up in there.
He ends up showing up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we don't know that he's there until he shows up.
No, he's with the Masters fight, and then he leaves.
Yeah, that's true. He does disappear on his own randomly.
Like, Akasami's like, Shiba, how are you doing over there?
You've been kind of quiet,
Shiba?
dog.
Gone.
He's just not there.
They're some of the greatest best friends.
I would not call Akisame and Shiba best friends.
Dude, what do you mean?
Frenemies, then. Best frenemies.
They're shonen best friends, dude. They do nothing but give each other shit. It's great.
So, I want to point something out, because for the war's sake, I feel like, as far as war arcs in anime goes, this is one of the better ones. It's not the best. It definitely is not, like, top 5, necessarily. But I feel like top 10, in my opinion. He does do a good job of consolidating each fight into a particular area. I don't feel like there's ever a point where I'm like, okay, but where are these people at? And like, where are these people at in relation to these people? Why is this important fight happening here versus there? Like, everything seems to be happening in such a way that I could kind of feel and track what's happening and why it's happening, and it doesn't just feel like spectacle. Like, the disciples fighting each other does not feel like spectacle. It feels like they need to do what they have to do to keep, these people at bay so that these people could do this, and the master's fighting them here at the beach here. You know what I'm saying? Everything feels like something's happening and there's a reason for it. You know?
Yeah, I would agree. 100%.
So, yeah, even though there are definitely hype moments and spectacle moments and fan service, it feels like everything that's happening in these fights is important, is cool, is interesting, and I never really feel like there's a point where you're like, okay, well, now y'all are just showing off. There's no real point in this fight. Can we move on, please, so we can get to the important stuff?
Man, now you got me thinking about what, like, my favorite war arcs are.
I feel like I haven't seen enough war arcs to even have a top 10 right now. When you said top 10, I was like, how many war arcs have you read, dude?
I mean just off
out of high school.
I was just about to say.
That's
off the top of my head, Naruto, Bleach, God of High School, One Piece has had several war arcs, technically. Like, there's a couple. That's just off the top of my head without looking for them. Off the top of my head, at least 4 or 5 of them I can name off the top of my head.
I read Kingdom, and that's... Like,
that whole series
it's like 700 chapters of war arcs, so...
God.
Oh, Kingdom.
I mean, if that's the case, I also have to include Red Storm, because Red Storm has a bunch of war arcs in it, too. So it's like, there's too many things I've read that have at least an arc in it, where it's like war between this clan and this clan, or this group and this group. Like, that's why I said it. Like, they're there.
Alright, so let's get to, like, the Kenichi Miyu mission, because I feel like that's really, like...
We don't want to talk about the master fight first? Or do we want to...
Yeah, I wanted to talk about some of the stuff with the masters, because...
Oh, we can.
A lot of... It's up to you, man. I'm cool with whatever.
I just thought the Kenichi fight leads into the end.
That's fair.
Huh?
Like, the Kenichi fight basically is the end of the war arc.
That is true. So, I would like to say that during the Masters fight, you actually see the Masters struggle. Like, Akisame at one point is literally like, is this all that I can do? Is this the best that I can do? Well, after literally catching weapons in his joints. Like, the gaps between his elbows and, like, one, he catches, I think, like, a spear with his, like, knee. And then Sakaki has to, like, even still block and take arrows to the arm.
And it's like 4+ weapons, bro. It's like 4+ weapons from other masters coming at the same time. And he's sweating it. Like, is this the extent of my strength? Like, is this the most I can do? That's crazy. Like, the desperation is crazy.
Yeah, it's very, very felt. Like, this is the first time, like, and I do want to say this the way that I'm about to say this, very intentionally. This, even with Sakaki versus Hongo and Agard versus Apachai, this is the first time I've genuinely felt like, yeah, they really might not win. Like, this is not looking good. It was high tension. Very, very high tension.
I'm not gonna lie, like, I really like Agard, but, like, I really didn't need him in this fight.
Yeah, he didn't really do much.
Yeah, like, he already lost, technically. Like, he didn't die, but he lost. They at least drew. Like, there was at least a draw between Apachai and him.
Agard.
So, like,
Yeah.
him being there, I was just like, I mean, yeah, I guess you're not dead.
But then, like,
Or in
once the
jail.
game- that was something I wanted to talk about. So, like, I feel like it really undermined all the stuff that all the fights that happened previously when all of the Shadow Nine Fists were just like, yeah, we're leaving now. Like, it was like, if you were just going to, like, leave whenever you wanted, then, like, what was the point?
Hold on. They do explain that. They explain that the reason that the two who were in Big Lock were there was because it was pride. It was their ego that kept them there. They lost a fight, and they were like, okay, as losers, because we didn't die, we are supposed to respect the winner. So they say we need to be in Big Lock, we go to Big Lock. Now, after that, those two... Yeah, exactly. After that, Diego and Alexander end up helping Ryo Zanpaku. And it's not like the other masters where they decide mid-battle, like, you know what, we're going to join up with you guys. No, from the beginning, they're like, we're bored. He's like, yeah, I agree, we're bored. You want to go help out Ryo Zanpaku? Yeah. All right.
Not wrong, but, like, then why... But if they could have left at any point, and they do leave, then, like, what was the point? Where is their honor there? And I get that they came to help, but, like, they couldn't have known that the Shinpaku Alliance or whatever was going to need help.
That's fair.
So why did they leave?
It's...
Man, I'm going to be honest, that's why.
I think they just wanted to see how the Eternal Sunset was going to play out, and then ended up deciding to help on a whim. But the reason I was going to say the whole concept of Big Lock was important is because the weapons division, the whole thing with Elder, they decided, like, oh, well, you guys created a prison, like moral prison, okay. We're going to do the same thing. And that's how they got Elder. Like,
yeah.
That's how they got the idea.
I get that comparison. It just feels like the idea that these guys are here now and they're going to be here, like, it was the Saving Fist way of killing them. Like, effectively removing them from battle.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't.
Well, it's like,
specifically with Agard.
Agard never went to prison.
That's true.
I'm sorry,
but
what?
I feel like he should have.
I didn't catch that, Justice. I'm sorry.
I say he was saying especially Agard, but Agard didn't go to prison. Like, he wasn't put in Big Lock. Yeah. He just left.
That's true.
He just left.
But I was going to say, I do want to contradict a little bit what you're saying, because they still didn't end up fighting against Ryo Zanpaku again. And I do think that although, yeah, they weren't in the prison anymore, them not being in the prison doesn't amount to, like, okay, to use an example. Remember when I said, killing Kenichi is the main goal? Well, yes, that's true. But then you guys also mentioned, well, killing his martial arts spirit also counts. Well, as long as Diego and Alexander don't kill anybody, it doesn't matter if they're in Big Lock.
That's fair, actually.
I don't like it, but I agree.
Kind of like
that helps. Yeah. What Justice said, essentially, like, I respect that opinion, and if that's what they were going for, then I can get behind it.
I can also see it as, like, something we didn't talk about earlier that I'm just going to, like, mention. That the dude, Christopher Eclair, from, like, 3 or 4 readings ago, that Sakaki fought,
I forgot he was
showed back up and saved Kenichi when Shigure got captured. And, like,
yep.
I loved that, and I kind of, like, I think this is, like, an extension of that, of him just bringing back old characters that, like, hey, remember this guy? Yeah, he's still doing stuff. He's still in the story, don't worry.
Even characters we didn't get introduced to, because, like, they mentioned
Markroff or Mycroft or whatever,
dude.
they mentioned him as a part of their 3-man team, but he didn't actually physically appear in battle till that moment.
Yeah.
So it was like him really, like
guys.
you said, bringing up all the strings that were there before, all of the like loose ends, and was like, hey, yeah, they're still doing shit. Here you go.
I just connected a couple of dots that have to do with Saiga, so I would like to move on as soon as possible.
Yeah,
I'm like really like I cannot wait.
I didn't realize how it was so good and ridiculous. Oh, it makes so much more sense now. Oh man, all right.
Well,
I
I
just wanna
hope
hype
you
up-
can help it make sense for me.
Before that, I want to hype up Ho Dude. I wish I remembered his name. Like
I
Edward
did too.
Scissorhands.
Yeah, we'll
And
just call him Edwards.
How he got like wrecked and got shot with all those arrows, and you're like, dude, he's down. And then like 2 chapters later, he just rises from the dead, plows that
And-
whole field with arrows. Basically saves all of their lives.
and then he officially dies, because he dies after that, and then Ryo Zanpaku really gets pissed.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point where they're like, it's all or nothing.
Didn't
out
she?
for
Wasn't it Kushinada that killed him?
I think so.
I think
I
so.
think it was her who officially ended his career.
Well, that dude was
I
the
don't
real
know.
MVP. Also, Apachai threw Freya's grandpa at a helicopter.
Dude, that was awesome.
At his request.
Oh, man.
To be clear, at his request. At his
Yeah,
request.
he was like, hey man,
Yeah, at his
can you
request.
throw me up there?
Kushinada didn't have to do that old man dirty like that. You
He
saw
did.
the way she. I'm saying, y'all saw the way that Kushinada had old man. He's already short and she's a tall woman. Ain't nothing wrong with tall women, but she had this man by his head and just like,
Dangling him.
yeah, dangling him and just come on out of here. You weren't even worth the time.
Wait, did they have these Yomi members in OVAs?
Possibly. There was an OVA. So I think this is also a good time before we get to Kenichi's fight to talk about Aura. And how Kushinada basically had like a giant hillside stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made of
You
pure
really
energy.
heard the JoJo Bizarre Adventure music. I agree.
Like,
Bruh,
how did we get here?
it was. Yeah. How did her aura get that big?
And how was she like? I know she could use like after image, basically shadow clones. Her after images are
she
so
switched
realistic.
to Guri's technique.
Yeah, and her too. Like I don't think I cared for them using Ki and Aura and like glowing and it seeming like they were like otherworldly superhuman beings. Like it just felt really weird considering everything that happened before. Like it's like we skipped a few steps to lead to that.
So I feel like, and this is the only way that I could justify it. So the way I interpret what's happening when we see those aura outlines is not that that's literally an individual standing there physically capable of touching them or anything like that, but more of like because remember we kept getting introduced into orbital battles and all this stuff where it's like we know what they could do and how they could counteract each other. It feels like that's an extrapolation of that where it's like, no, they're not physically standing there, but if they were to stand there, this is the technique they would be using, this is the fight that they would be, what they would be doing. I'm not saying that's literally what happened, but it's the only way I could justify it because we have other things that we can compare it to. The orbital battles don't actually happen. They're basically just standing in front of each other, sizing each other up. I'm saying that's the best I can do. I'm not saying it's
because the orbital battles actually do damage to their surroundings. That's the only reason.
Yeah,
I
this
was
is just like the next level of that, basically.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
because that's like the same thing with Kushinada having a fucking sea of hands come up like she's fucking Nico
Yeah,
Rock.
that was
think there are
fucking
literal
terrifying.
hands there. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what's happening.
Okay.
It just felt super weird and out of place, like out of nowhere.
It did kind of feel like we hopped into another world for a little bit towards the end there. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Yeah, especially with some of the other things that we're about to see with Aura, but we're about to get to that.
Yeah. One last highlight, Kensei definitely stole that bow chick's panties while he was attacking all of the weapons members.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
it was it was not
That-
good, but it was good.
I'm about to shout it out again because I said it before, and now we're actually here. Ma Kensei is the master of perversion. Okay, all right?
Mhm.
Like that man. He has an agenda at all times. During war, he's like, yeah, nah, but I still gotta see them panties. Yeah, but nah, I still gotta rip them clothes off. Yeah, but nah, my ultimate technique is ripping you and stripping you completely naked. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
but
for
no,
real.
I got tired of seeing those when she was a baby.
Ah, yeah.
Listen, I'm going to point this out, though. This is what also makes Kushinada a legend, in my opinion. She's the only woman thus far to ever be able to definitively stop his arrow mode. Like, he went at her full force, ready to go, and she said, nah, we're not doing that today, pimp.
She
Like-
stops it a time, but like, I'm pretty sure he strips her.
She does
He
get
He
stripped
gets
at the
her
very
another
end.
time, but that's when, like, basically multiple people are attacking him. It wasn't like it was just 1v1ing her.
And
Like,
it
they
was-
were like, go ahead.
It was like that moment of like she's a female character, so she's got to be naked a few more times. Even freaking Kisara wasn't able to get out of the series without showing her titties.
Literally, and she
Yeah.
has one of the smallest in the series, so...
Yeah.
It happened. I was like, "Rip Cynic, that's his favorite."
Yeah.
I still
Oh,
don't know
man.
if I don't know if that's still true or not. But yeah.
All right.
Just
so
saying, the
are
fact
we-
that she was able to block it and no other... Even when he had a broken hand, he had a broken hand fighting another master class who had a weapon at their disposal, and he still was able to easily use his arrow mode against them. And she was able to be like, nah, pimp, we ain't doing it. It ain't happening. You thought. Like, she really hit him with that, you thought.
Yeah, she did. So is it time? Is it time to talk about the thing that I've been wanting to talk about the most?
Yes, we keep dancing around it. You got to go ahead and do it before we think of something
Okay.
else. You got to.
All right, cool. So here we go. So, Saiga, Furinji Saiga. Let's see, Saotomi's master,
Or is
and
he?
One Shadow Fist. Hey, I'm getting there, but bro, so we get a flashback. We get a flashback about literally Miyu's mom, Miyu's dad, elder son, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it like Miyu's mom's best friend?
Yeah, childhood
Saiga's
friend.
best
He was
friend? Okay,
he
cool.
was her like what
Initially
arranged,
betrothed, right?
arranged fiance.
But they
Yeah.
were childhood friends too. They do mention that they were childhood friends first.
Yeah.
So basically, and I'm gonna just kind of skim through this because this flashback isn't what I want to talk about. Basically, it's
Flashbacks
like
are
what
great.
ends up happening, like, huh?
No, the flashback's really great.
It is great, but it's not the thing that I'm like, oh, I have the. So we could definitely tail back, but I'm gonna just like brieferize it. Long story short, Miu's mom, like we were saying, is betrothed to this guy named Sensui with a Z, like Senzui. And he's like Saiga's best friend and her childhood friend. And so basically in the, what did you call them, Cynic? You said they were some kind of ninjas.
Eugenics.
Eugenics.
Eugenics ninjas. Okay, I'm gonna use that term. So basically in the land of the eugenics ninjas,
Village.
there are
Say the same damn thing. I'm sorry. I tried to hold back, but I agree.
Sorry, keep going.
we basically have old-fashioned people and newer-fashioned people. The whole argument was, should Furinji Saiga be allowed to marry Miyu's mom? Half of the clan was like, heck yeah, you should be able to marry whoever the fuck you want to marry. The other half of the clan was like, nah, fuck that. We got rules, and we trying to raise the strongest kid around here. So Senzui and Furinji and Miyu's mom, they're all on the side of like progress. Because Senzui's like, hey, I'm about to be leading this clan eventually, and I ain't got time to be worrying about a woman, so you got that, Saiga. And a lot of stuff happens. A lot of political stuff happens, but basically, who we thought was Saiga, Miyu's dad, killing Miyu's mom, was actually Sensui, the friend. Why he killed her, personally, I can't make it make sense, because I'm just like, I mean, I guess
An
like
explanation. I don't think you're gonna like it, but I have an explanation.
But
Okay,
hold,
please.
pause. Did they give a story explanation?
I think
I
so.
believe they did, but they didn't. Like, I don't think it was well enough explained, but I think it's there. This isn't like a necessarily a headcanon. It's more like I'm like explaining threads that were put in there and tying them together.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I don't
'cause
think he executed on it well, but I think there was a reason.
Okay, because I remember after the flashback, Saiga and Sensui are fighting, which I'm gonna get into how all of that builds up in a second, but they're fighting, and in the middle of the fight after the flashback, he's like, "Why did you kill my wife?" And then he doesn't say anything. He just keeps fighting him. So, please, explanation, because that has been like on my mind the past, like, since I basically read that part. I need to understand, because I don't.
So the way I look at it is this: where he first was on the side of Saiga and Miyu's mom, and he was wholeheartedly a part of that group. There was a turning point, and one of those turning points was him slaughtering his father. He killed his dad. Okay?
Oh, yeah, that did happen.
So after he killed his father, he was still a part of the group. I do want to be clear about that. He was definitely down for them a little bit still. But then another turning point happened. And that's the fact that all the eugenics ninjas that were a part of their side were worshiping Saiga. So now we have this point where he doesn't get the girl, he killed his father, and no one respects him. And so what is he doing all this for? And then he just snaps, I feel like. Like, there's just a point where he's just like, I'm done. And then he justifies this by saying, if I kill Miyu's mom, we'll consolidate back in together and it'll be over with. But I feel like that's more of an excuse than the reason. I feel like the reason really just came down from him losing so much and gaining nothing from it.
But why not Saiga?
Oh, maybe he couldn't.
Yeah.
Even if he killed Saiga, let's even like say he could. Let's just say, for sake of argument, he kills Saiga. That would not have stopped the slaughter, because Miyu's mom would have fought on Saiga's behalf, and she would have had the blood right.
And
to
Saiga
do so.
was gone at the time.
And I think
There's
he
that
kills
too.
Yeah.
that whole side. Because for what I remember, he goes to the side that is like the conservative
Old
side.
Yep.
And they're like, hey, just kill all the other guys. Because he's tired of all of the casualties.
Basically the war.
He's like, I want to finish this with as few casualties as possible. And they're like, just kill the other side.
I think they even specify kill her. I think they even specify that. They might not. I might be remembering that.
It's still,
but go ahead.
ultimately, it still doesn't really make sense as to me, why he did it. And then here's the other thing that extends after that. Notice, there's no way Saiga knew about it prior to where they end up fighting. There's literally no way that would be possible.
And I agree.
Yeah.
He might have had his suspicions, but he didn't have any evidence.
So I think... Sorry, you finish your thought.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, so... how did Sensui keep this secret from Saiga for so long? You know, I mean... It's not like Saiga didn't know the other people in the village and stuff, and I mean, maybe nobody knew who killed Miyu's mom specifically, but still, like, Sensui had the balls to be like, yeah, man, we gonna start Yami, and this whole basically like organization and do all of these things, and I'm gonna sit right by you. By the way, he's the other one shadow.
Did he start?
No, yes, Saiga was already part of it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, in the flashback, he's talking
part
about
of it after.
He's talking about being part of the One Shadow Nine Fists.
Yep, I do definitely remember that. So I think one of the things that might be a cultural block here is that like we don't learn about like.
Sit there and do nothing but grab and low me. So then at the third
1 second,
match,
guys.
Yeah,
Y'all
you can't hear.
continue.
You can hear the background.
Yeah,
so
I
you
thought
might wanna
that
mute
was
yourself
you for a
little
second, just being super quiet.
Perfect or one of the rounds.
But
And then,
so I feel like the cultural block here thing is that like, especially us being Americans, we don't learn a lot about like noble families and how like passing downs of like how estates getting passed works a lot. And had he killed? So I just answered my own question when I thought that well, I guess Jin did too. Had he attempted and succeeded in killing Saiga, then like she's still the heir, right?
Yep.
And then that would have made Miyu still an heir. The bloodline still goes on. They still could have rallied behind her. That makes more sense in my head now.
I also want to know how many.
I'm trying to say.
Because if he eliminates the daughter, then it's just some outsider and his kid.
Mm.
I also want to know how many. Like they never go into like how many ninjas are left.
They don't. But
Which
I feel
thought
like
was odd.
it ends up not being as important because realistically, let's be fair here, they're not worried about numbers. They're not worried about having this large army. The only thing they're worried about is having the most powerful. So they're all about quality over quantity. If they got to, break a few eggs, they don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? So it could have been 5 left and they wouldn't have cared.
Also, it's weird to me that they're like eugenics ninjas for martial arts, but like had a problem with the son of the invincible Superman.
Yeah. Oh wait, their clans had beef. That's what it was. The Saiga
you're
clan
right.
and,
You're right. That was the thing. It was a sort of Romeo and Juliet thing. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And
then another like inter-family civil war. Like,
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm confused about is what is Sensui's motives? Like, if he was literally acting like he was still Saiga's best friend. Literally, because you could see that in
he might have just snapped, dude.
Yeah, I think killing his dad really fucked him up.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. And also, another thing, I don't think that he squarely hates Saiga. And the reason I say that is because remember what his excuse for not killing Miyu was? She had the face of both of the people he loved.
Yeah.
And he used the word love. So, I don't think that it was in a romantic way even necessarily. Just in a familial way. This is the two people he cared about most after his own family. Had that was their face in front of him, and he had already done it once. He couldn't do it again, and at least not at that moment, obviously. So he spared Miyu and left, even though he had every ability to just end her whole career before it even got started.
I mean, literally. But okay, all right. I guess some of that.
All right, I think the short answer, Sec, is it's hard to understand crazy.
Okay, all right. That's fair. So back to the present, where Saiga is, I guess, just found out that Sensui killed Miyu's mom, and he's fighting Sensui. So Saiga's a good guy, just for the record. He's a life-saving.
It turns out he was good all along.
Yeah, he was super cool.
By the way, to that comment y'all made about him making Yami earlier and stuff like that, I do pretty specifically remember that being after Miyu's mom died, and that being kind of like the result, as Elder kind of explained it, though he did so poorly.
I'm just pretty sure he said in the flashback that, like, I became the One Shadow to help, like, I guess, create harmony between something or something. I feel like I remember him saying something about becoming the One Shadow. But I could be misremembering.
It's possible.
Alright, thanks for the follow,
I'm also
King Marv.
confused about that. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to thank King Marv for the follow. We play Smash together and we met on a Discord, so thanks, man. Hope you're enjoying
Appreciate
the stream.
it, bro. I was gonna say that's something I'm kind of confused about to an extent too, and the only reason I say that is because, in one hand, I don't think he should have any ties to his father if he is part of Yomi, because that's like they're pretty strictly on the opposite sides of things. But also, I don't really see how there's any middle ground between the Killing Fist and the non-Killing Fist. I think they're pretty definitively separate. I mean, although, it does come down to the killers. The Killing Fist can be good people. It is still a definitive like line between them, and we see that multiple times between Hongo and Sakaki and so on and so forth. I'm not going to name every person, but we see that they could be friends. They could care about each other and all this other stuff. But there is a definitive line between their ideologies that's pretty like drawn in the sand clearly. So I don't see how they could have done harmony in any way. That's my opinion.
Yeah, some of that, because it's so, and it was at the end, and why I continuously say, like, that man wasn't done telling his story. I feel like what ended up happening is he started to run, like, he was told he was going to be, canceled or done or to wrap it up or whatever, and he still had, like, we could have got a whole nother 100 chapters out of this, and I think we would have got a much more solid, ending.
Yeah, that's fair. This definitely suffers from shonen ending syndrome.
Yeah,
I just coined
even
that.
as good as it wasn't as satisfying as it could have been, I'm sure.
That's trademark now, by the way.
What?
Property of the manga panel, shonen ending syndrome. We call it the SES.
All right. It's been said. You heard it here today.
I don't know. I have a hard time believing it was canceled just because it ran for 12 years. Like, that's a really long time for them just to be like, and you're done.
I mean, look at Bleach, though. Bleach got canceled randomly after they
feel
It did
forced
not,
it to
actually.
continue.
That's a misconception.
What do you mean?
Well, Kubo was really sick for like several months before it ended. But with Jump, you have to give 6 months notice to end your series. And he did that. And typically, in like 6 months, that's like almost 30 chapters. That's like 20-ish chapters. Let's say 20 chapters. A lot of things can happen in 20 chapters. And sometimes authors, like, they start building things and they're just like, oh crap, I don't have time for all of this. And then have to figure out how to, like, wrap it all up. And I feel like that's where a lot of bad endings come from.
Okay, so slightly different from being canceled, but I just meant more like they had to rush the ending after all these years.
Yeah, I definitely, the ending of Bleach is pretty rushed. The ending of all shonen series that I've read. Bar maybe rushed. Full Metal.
That's true.
Yeah,
we can talk about Full Metal another day.
But
we should have a classics theme for
so basically, you guys got the picture. Saiga and Sensui, old time friends. Arguably the whole yin yang thing. Sensui being dark.
Literally, at one point.
Yeah. Also, Saiga was that government guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about that and how basically Saiga pretending to be a government guy literally trained the Shinpaku Alliance up to par. For the record, yeah, that happened before the war arc. He literally was like, I'm sorry, what?
I was just agreeing with you. Like leading up to the war arc, he was giving them some tips.
Yeah,
it was like a week, wasn't it? Like maybe
dude, it was like not a long time. A lot of this last 100 chapters happened in less than a month. Yep. Actually, I think all of it did.
Yep.
And yet the whole time, who's been fighting for that month?
Fucking Elder. Yeah, let's go back to that for a second, because I think
I think that happens during Kenichi's fight, which is what we're trying to talk about right now.
I actually think it happens after, so we should talk about Kenichi's fight, and then that happens, if I recall right.
I think it's between the fight and that, so go ahead. Just go ahead.
I'm actually going to pass the baton off. I got to talk about what I wanted to talk about, but basically, the final fight is between Kenichi, good Kenichi, versus Saotomi, bad Kenichi.
Yeah, I love that they're literal parallels. Like, I like that Kenichi's had a lot of parallel people in his fights and, like, people that he's been around. But this is a dude who literally had no talent. And his
body was weak.
Bro, martial arts cured his plot disease.
Literally.
It cured him. He had plot sickness.
Disease, I like that.
And now he doesn't.
Martial arts saved my life. Plot.
And I'm willing to give my life for martial arts. Don't forget now.
Yeah.
No, yeah, no.
He ain't selfish with his life suddenly. He was like, oh, it saved me, so I'm going to save it. Shit, I do what I got to do.
I've been kind of waiting for this moment because Satomi's my favorite Yomi member. Even though he doesn't do anything for like most of the series.
Well, there's two reasons I like Satomi a lot. Satomi shows a duality, partially because of his masters. Now, here's something cool. So you find out, by the way, like, because Satomi helps Shigure escape and leads Kenichi and Miyu to where Shigure was. That is plot stuff. Those were Saiga's orders. Like, Saiga was like, hey, when they get here, show them the way. Hey, Shigure, set her free. Yeah, do whatever you can to help them. And Sensui's like, yeah, but kill them. So there's a duality. And Satomi, I think, does it very well because he's literally like, I mean, I did lead y'all here. Now I'm going to kill you.
Now it's time to throw hands. It is what it is. So I do want to cut in here because this is something I was talking about before. I feel like he could not have come up sooner. A lot of the fighters that you see fight more than once, you could see them making an improvement upon their techniques without ever having to exceed to master level. This thing that he was doing here, and I will understand if someone wants to argue and disagree with me, but let's take away the seals for a minute. If we take away his ability to use these sealing techniques to amplify his abilities, he's about par with Kenichi. They're about the same strength. You can say give or take a little bit. Maybe he's a little bit stronger, or maybe Kenichi's a little bit stronger, but they're roughly the same ability level, skill level, strength level, stuff like that in their own way.
That's fair. Minus the seals.
I was just about to say, minus the seals. I'm being very specific. If you take away the sealing ability that
and that other technique that he has.
Yeah, but I'm just...
Man, that other technique was freaking wild.
But, so, he starts using basically ninja seals. I say basically because that's the easiest way to explain it.
That's how he explains it.
I can't help but feel like the author would have watched the beginning of Naruto when he was writing this last few chapters.
He was like, "Hey, that's
just like,
cool.
Guys, what if I just did some of that?"
So he starts
we
using
also
these
see
seals.
key clones.
Sorry, go ahead.
We see things like key clones existing. I mean, we've always oh, we have a projection of my key over here, but it's not actually me. But you look over there anyway; it's a feint. So, we've been seeing these inklings of ki and auras being able to do a bunch of random things, and I'm just like, what am I watching? What am I reading now?
Well, see, Kenichi did a lot of things first, and I'm gonna say this because what happens in a minute. So, once he starts showing off these key tech, or these techniques with the seals, which boosts his ki in certain ways so that he can be more flexible, be stronger, be more fluid, so on and so forth, without having to change his entire style. Then Kenichi's on the ropes, because there becomes a point, and they do want to make you understand how much of a difference it makes, because Kenichi and him get attacked by a master at the same time. And Kenichi's like, fuck, I can't dodge this. And the other guy's like, yeet, and gets the fuck out of dodge. So I do want to be clear just how much they want you to understand how much of a boost those seals make for this cat. Because it's not like without those seals, he was going to myrtleize Kenichi. Those seals were necessary, and that's why he was using it. And then Kenichi comes, and he's like, okay, I've been training in secret to learn the techniques of Shigure, and I'm about to use them right here to stop this whole sealing shit. You're not going to hit me with this no more. I'm tired of that, because that shit's strong. So then the guy's like, okay, that wasn't my ultimate technique, though, so let me show you what's really good. And he starts using his ki to mold his muscles in such a way that when he punches you, it turns off your ki. I said that exactly how I meant to say it. He punches you in such a way that it shuts down your ki. And it's so bad that Kenichi literally is getting to the point where he's like, any technique I use doesn't work. I block the attack, my arm goes numb. I dodge the attack, my side goes numb. I take it full force, my body feels like it's literally deteriorating.
Yeah, he's like, I'm dying.
Took it full force because it would have killed him. Just for the record, they made that.
He was dying.
No,
he
I know.
Was dying.
Yeah, but I'm saying he still, I don't think, ever took fully clean, completely clean, every time. And I could just be remembering it wrong, but especially the one that ended up mostly connecting. Kenichi still kind of flew out of the way a little bit. You know what I mean?
I thought it was when he went to use the kick against him, his ultimate technique, little kick thing that he learned from Master. He he punched him square in the chest after taking that kick. He punched him at the same time,
sure did.
And that's where he took it. And once he took it, he's like, "I'm dying. I feel myself dying. I feel my cells wanting to cry out in pain and then just die."
Even his signature move didn't work.
Yeah.
Even the Mubiyoshi didn't work it.
Which was wild.
Yeah.
That was the punch.
He both the Mubiyoshi and the kick. I forgot what it's called, but it's the one he learned from Elder. Yeah. And that kick was supposed to be his ultimate technique. His personalized technique was the Mubiyoshi, but the kick was your legs are so strong that you can pretty much kick anybody and they're going down. Outside of Master Class. Outside of Master Class, we want to be clear about that. We're not talking about Masters, but anybody who's inside of class, allegedly, if he kicks them full force and they take the full brunt of that, it's supposed to be KO. It's supposed to be GG.
Yeah, I just bring up the Mubiyoshi because of what happens at the end of the fight.
Yeah, and I was about to mention that. So, we get a little flashback of the Elder basically waking Kenichi up. Kenichi's like, "Yo, what did you do to me?" He's like, "Yeah, I just turned off all your key centers, bro." He's like, "I died." He's like, "Yeah, you did. Now you know what it feels
feel
like.
To be alive again. You feel refreshed, don't you?
And he's like, "Yeah, well, I actually feel better than I felt in a while." He's like, "Yeah." So what ends up happening is that right now you're at a level that's this type of key. And it's hard to explain, so I'm just say this type of key and that type of key to make it simple. This type of key just makes it so that you know how to mold your key. Okay? Now we're going to get you to a point where you can house and utilize your key better, which is the key of holding. Okay? So...
and doesn't Kenichi skip past that altogether?
He skips one other one, which is what Miyu can do, which is focus our key in battle or something. Yeah, it's hard to explain each one. That's why I kind of skipped over that one, because it's not explained very well.
Just know that there are levels to being a key manipulator in this series, and Kenichi gets real good at real fast.
He literally jumps, if I recall correctly, it says that he jumps straight to the highest level. During that fight.
Hitting master.
It is described as being master class. And that is something that I remember from reading it the first time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't use that word because I wasn't, 100 on it, and we have seen some master class references that weren't quite master class, but if they did say that, then yeah, he master classed this key manipulating.
I thought she just said he mastered the technique, but I could be wrong. It doesn't even matter. The main point is he uses this technique called the key of holding, which is basically the opposite of what this other cat is doing. Because where this cat is using his muscles and straining his body and pushing his body to the brink to shut down your key centers, you have this key of holding that Kenichi is doing do the exact opposite. So what he did is that he went a step up from the Syokuken 2 to the Syokuken 3. And literally, he was basically turning his key off for a second and then turning it back on to reflect this guy's key. So, he literally was just dropping his key to 0 for a minute and then using the momentum from this opponent's key to amplify his own key and reflect the person's technique away from him.
Yep.
It's literally key counter.
Yep. It's crazy.
It's so crazy because this dude cannot land a hit on Kenichi at this point.
To save his life. He ends up in the wall with a crate. He ends up attacking Kenichi and ends up a crater in the wall because Kenichi's just like, nope.
And Kenichi hasn't moved. That's the worst part. He's physically moving his arms and stuff, but he did not move from the spot he was standing in. He didn't literally, thrust him into the wall. He just pivoted through. You're in the wall, and he's just standing there. And the guy comes back and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna use my full body technique." And then Kenichi's basically like, "Yeah, that's what I was waiting for, Chief." Mubo Yoshi, and punches him, and he doesn't just stop the technique from killing himself. He stops the technique from killing his enemy. He heals him. I was like, yo, what? He punches this man and heals him.
The ultimate of the saving fist. Okay.
I don't know how to explain. I've been pretty good about explaining everything else that's happened to an extent. I'm not gonna try. He punched him and healed him. That's what happened.
I was
He
like,
punched him and healed him. Profit.
I assume it's like he punched him, but also put his key into him, and that might have done some healing. Something. That's the best I know.
Dragon Ball style.
I guess. I just know he punched him. Because he was going into this attack ready to die, because he used the key in his entire body from head to toe, hair strain, like every part of him was full of this destructive key. He was willing to take out Kenichi for the sake of martial arts. That was his answer. And Kenichi's was like, not only am I not gonna die, I'm gonna make sure you don't die. That's my answer. And they clashed, and Kenichi said, punch, you're healed, bitch. And it was over. I was like, okay, well, Kenichi's got the literal life-saving fist.
Literal.
Literal.
I mean,
Yeah.
I love that you guys said that at the same time.
I laugh too, but I also cringe a little.
I'm just saying, bro, he literally just said, Mubo Yoshi. Oh, his personal ultimate technique, which makes it so much better, because it was the technique of all of his masters culminated into one attack, and it's the Mubo Yoshi life-saving fist punch thing. And he just punches this man and heals him. And
it essentially ends the war.
Literally.
Yeah.
Essentially, he did.
For us, the reader, Kenichi just ended the war.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But
the Elder just
let's not
sweeps
forget
up.
about Nijima.
Or the Elder.
I was about to say Elder comes up next, but Nijima this whole time has been fighting a battle of his own.
Half naked, mind you. Respect.
Yeah, half naked. But
hey, he was in the
Nijima
loincloth gang.
Yeah, Nijima's fighting an epic battle with the computer, trying to keep the missile from launching.
And then it does.
Man, there was definitely
then it does.
There was a chapter where it was like 5 minutes till launch, and I was like, okay. And then like 3 chapters later, it was like 8 minutes to launch. I was like, wait a second. And then like a little after that, it's like 2 minutes.
Huh?
Did it say 8 minutes or 8 seconds?
It said 8 minutes. It went from 5 minutes to 8 minutes to 2 minutes.
Okay, well,
throughout all of it. And I was just like, what is happening?
He's rushing. That's what was happening.
Yeah,
he was rushing to
that's
finish
what it was. They had a
it could have been
3 minute flashback.
It could have been mistranslated or the scripted poorly when it was like happening though. Like
it's true.
Yeah, that's true.
I just thought that was funny. I was like, how much time is left? I don't even know anymore.
It didn't really matter. Let's be fair. It didn't matter. The ass whooping was what we was caring about.
It was. So, wait, hold on. But because I'm gonna say the thing about Nijima and then Justice. You got to talk about our Lord and Savior Garyu X.
Wait, was Garyu the one who stopped the missile?
No, it was Elder. It was Elder.
Everyone knows.
At this point, everybody knows.
Everybody knew the first time. What do you mean?
What I didn't know, that was a revelation to me, sir. All right.
I mean, which I didn't get it. I definitely didn't get it.
Right? Come on, Appetite is the brightest crayon in the box, man. But yeah, so Nijima actually does this whole time. He's basically like quote unquote putting his life on the line, which I mean he is for him. He's just not martial artsing it up. Then we get to the real savior that prevents the whole war thing, and I will pass it off to you, Sir Justice.
So in the midst of all of this, on that island, we go back to the sword master guy, just wandering around like, I don't see Hayato, but I hear this weird sound, and he finds him just taking a nap. He ate some stuff, wanted to get a little rest. Wakes him up. The elder wrecks him. Well, not really wrecks him, but gets the up on
Actively
him.
wrecks him for that fight. I'd say wreck.
He gets the upper hand, runs out off the island. You're like, okay, cool. And then, way after, the last 3 chapters, the missile is launching. It's in the air. Everyone's like, oh no, we didn't stop it. You see the elder run, jump off this cliff, onto the missile, and punch it in the sky.
But hold on, you're underselling this a little bit.
He was
the missile has launched already. So this man not only ran from an island from God knows where, because he was just in the middle of the ocean on an island. So not only does he use the fucking speed force to run across water, an open water, all the way back to Japan, but then
to another
island off the coast of Japan, then up a fucking cliff without knowing the fucking rocket launched, and just leaps on a rocket mid-launch.
Yeah, it's going, and he just jumps onto it, punches it until it explodes.
And everybody's like, no, Elder's dead.
We knew, though.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I thought he might have actually been dead. For the record.
A different series would have had that happen. But we're reading Kenichi.
What?
I said a different series that probably would have happened, but we're reading Kenichi.
That's fair. But yeah.
Only one person can die, and it has to break your heart.
They at least tried to fake us out.
A little bit, yeah.
He must have been reading One Piece, too.
Fair. Yeah.
Bro, he floated in on a cape. He hit the Super Mario cape flying. It's super weird. Because it's not I'm even saying it's impossible or anything. I'm not a scientist, so I'm not even going to try to argue against it. But it was more like the fact that he had part of a scarf in one hand, part of a scarf in another hand, part of a scarf between his toes, and just used the air to glide blissfully down with no sweat on his face at all. He was just like, this is a Tuesday for me. And just lands. And everyone's like, oh my god, Elder. And he's like, what's wrong? Y'all tripping.
When you said this is a Tuesday.
I mean, but in my life, he was
really does do it so casual. He's just like, I just blew up a missile. I got off of a deserted island fighting for I don't know, the past at least 2 weeks, maybe month. Life or death encounter. Just being a
He was in the explosion with his clothes aren't even singed. And the reason I make it an important point is because they were going to launch this at Japan, and Japan was supposed to be devastated by this bomb. And he punched it and ripped it apart with his bare fists and teeth, and got caught up in the explosion, and just literally crip walked out.
Yep.
That's Elder for you.
The GOAT.
Dude,
he's definitely the GOAT of the series.
He's really right below DBZ. I feel like he could fight NDB and be squarely where he needs to be.
I mean, hey, look, all I can say is this: Roshi don't want it.
I feel like that too at this point. The DB Roshi doesn't want that smoke. If we're talking about Super, that's a different argument. I'm not going to compare that, but an
argument, we're not going to go.
Remember that thing I said earlier this episode where we made enough comparisons to Dragon Ball?
I'm sorry, it's just the easiest one.
We need a counter. We need a counter. I'm telling you, man. We done mentioned One Piece and so many other ones.
All this other stuff. Yeah. I'm just saying though, Elder is nigh immortal, man. That man, you can cut him, you can stab him, you can shoot him, but somehow he's gonna kick your ass, and I just don't get it.
Well, as much as I'd love to gush, we should move on.
True. I want to gush on one other person, as much as I can't stand him as an individual.
Is it Nijima?
Nijima had some nuts, okay? He had some nuts. So he was looking what he thought was Saiga, which he knows at this point is the GOAT, in his opinion. Like, he knows this is the GOAT of the Killing Fist. And he's like, yeah, look, this is the thing you wanted to steal from me. And he's like, that's not it. He's like, this, and literally strips down to his underwear. And even the guy's like, you got some nuts. Like, you're
brass one.
He specifically says they are brass.
Like, he said, I don't know how you walk around with balls that heavy. Like, I gotta respect him for that. Because I don't know, man. Life or death looking Saiga, a.k.a. Sensui at that point, in the face, looking him in the face and trying to deceive him. I don't know, man. I might have gave up the goods, bro. He's more gangster than I am.
So, basically, after the Kenichi fight and Elder does awesome Elder things, the Yami Masters, including Kushinada, is basically like, well, this was fun. We lost. We're out. I mean, and that's for lack of better words. Of course, it's more delicate than that, but basically, it's like, oh, that didn't work out. Well, we're out. Peace, guys.
Try again next time.
Same thing.
Except please don't,
much.
actually.
And, yeah. And then it goes into the last two chapters, which is basically like
it's epilogue. It's the good ending epilogue.
Ukida ends up with Kasara. We
We're
don't
talking
really
about ships now. All right.
know for a fact, huh?
I said, oh, we're talking about the ships now. All right.
I mean, that's the only thing to talk about in those last two chapters. Like,
Kenichi had an award-winning novel. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was his goal at the beginning of the series. That was the first thing he wanted to do.
Yep.
I respect him for remembering that he wrote that about Kenichi, because I sure shit did.
Another thing
By the time I got to there,
is that they definitively say he's still not master class. I need to point that out, because there's a point where we're like, okay, he's done all this stuff. He has the key of holding, and even he says, he's like, man, I mastered the key of holding. Aren't I a master yet? He's like, nah, bro, you got a ways to go, Chief. You thought that was funny.
They go to fucking Amsterdam.
Oh yeah, they go to Amsterdam to do some of Elder's work.
Yeah, and his opponent, Kenichi's opponent, because I think somebody makes the mistake of targeting Miyu, and you know how Kenichi gets when Miyu's involved. He gets amped as fuck. And somebody was like, that key, is he masterclass? And then his master.
He even says there's no doubt or something. It's undoubtedly masterclass. And then the Elder's like, nah, that was cute, but he's not a master yet.
He'll get there.
Hey, there.
Judging on that last panel, he'll get there. This Sakaki ass forearms.
He has those Sakaki arms for some reason.
Jesus Christ, man. Sakaki's built.
So
Anyway.
Before we finish off, I do want to bring up a theory that people had, and I want to hear you guys' opinion. Some people believe that Sakaki is actually Kenichi's uncle. Now, here's how the theory goes. Sakaki's sister, elder sister, is brought up into the story multiple times, but she is never physically shown. Like, her face is never physically shown. However,
hold up.
Go ahead.
She does look like what's his face's wife. The hairstyle and everything, and given her personality, I could see that. I never thought about that.
I was just gonna say, some people think that might be his, and the fact that they never meet in the story. Since Kenichi has met Sakaki's sister's never brought up again. Like, she's never physically shown in the current timeline. He never brings her up, and they never meet. His mother never comes to Rio Zanpaku, and she never sees Sakaki once. So it's not like we could say, oh, well, if that was his sister, he would have said something upon meeting her. Well, they never meet, so there's no way to definitively say that she's not. And so there was just a couple of key things that people were like, oh man, I think that's his sister, because he brings her up, and he just never does anything with her.
I mean, I see no reason it can't be a thing, but I also, in my honest words, I don't see why it can't be a thing. I don't care if it is or not, because it doesn't really change anything. Except for maybe
That's
why
fair.
Sakaki is so soft to him, but he's also soft to other kids.
That's fair.
I don't dislike the theory, but like, I have a hard time thinking that Sakaki's sister wouldn't know that he's part of Ryozanpaku. And like, Kenichi's very upfront about going there.
That's true.
Yeah,
And the husband's been there. It would be weird that it didn't come up, but like, I don't dislike the theory.
Well, the way to kind of cancel both of those things out is his sister may know that Sakaki's there and just be like, that's why she's so cool with him going there to learn martial arts and never goes to check it out.
Maybe. I just feel like she would have brought it up to Kenichi.
I mean,
Yeah.
you would think, but I don't know. You never know, man. You never know. Like,
yeah.
those things. Maybe he was planning on fleshing it out, but kind of like with the whole Saiga Sensui thing.
Or like with the Kushinada and Elder thing.
yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
that definitely needed to be expanded.
I
Really upset because I
Don't know
actually
about that.
wanted some info on that for real.
Like, they have a connection, obviously.
Obviously.
I just assumed that it was supposed to be vague.
Also, we don't know who Saiga's mom is either. It'd be interesting to see who she is. I don't think it's Kushinada. I don't think that necessarily. I do want to be clear. But we never get, like, who's the mom of Saiga? You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what happened to her.
guess-
Did she die when he was young? Did she, like, live for a long time but then die in battle or nothing? Like, we don't know what happened to her mom. Did she divorce him? Like, that's simple. It could just be like, you know what, you're wild, dude. I can't fuck with this no more. And left. Like,
Well, there is pretty wild.
I'm just saying, like, we don't know what happened.
I can't do this. I can't keep worrying about you.
Exactly. Like, I know you're the invincible Superman, but if you come home dead one day, I'm gonna freak, so I gotta leave now. Like, I don't know. We don't know anything about Saiga's family in any way other than Elder was his dad and Miyu was his daughter.
Alright, y'all. I'm condensing the conversation down, because this is almost one of our longest episodes.
Okay.
Let's go to our rating. I want everybody to give their rating for this portion of chapters, and then for the series as a whole, if you don't want to just take averages. Or you could, if that's your explanation. Because I feel like my series as a whole rating is lower than the averages that I have. But we can talk about that.
Okay.
Let's start with Justice.
Well,
Alright, so for this reading, I'd probably give it like a 7.5. Like, there were some really awesome moments, but it was really messy, and there were so many people that just didn't really matter, and didn't get names. But like, as a whole...
like the
like almost all of the weapons division.
Yeah. I'd probably give it like an 8 overall. Like, it was fun. It was a very fun, good series. And I love Kenichi's growth through the whole thing. And his daughter is super adorable.
It's true.
Yeah. Miyu 2.0.
yes.
Brunette Miyu.
Yeah.
Alright, Sick. What's your take?
So I'd actually give this portion a 6 or a 6.5. Mostly because it was just that messy. There was the fact that I felt like I had to come to you guys and be like, look, guys, I don't get this whole Saiga Sensui, like, it's not making sense to me. And that was like a big plot point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was waiting for that. I was like, oh man, I cannot wait to find out what the deal is with, Saiga and Miyu's mom. Why did it go down? What happened? Da 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 da. And they gave me some of what I wanted. But I do feel like this last 100 chapters was like pretty rushed. Like, after the Ogata stuff, it all started to just kind of like blur together. So 6.5 for this last 100 chapters. Overall, though, I think I'd give it an 8.5. Pretty solid. I do not regret reading this at all, and I'm very glad that you guys convinced me to start reading manga with you guys, because this has been great. This
Hell
has
yeah.
been a wonderful adventure.
That's what we love to hear at the panel. We've converted him.
Converted is a strong word. You know me.
We baptized him. There we go.
There we go. I'll take that.
I feel like that one's more extreme. Anyway, Jin.
So, alright, so for this part, I do understand the messiness, but just because of how much good, important information, awesome fights, emotional roller coaster from excited to funny to sad to hurtful to everything, every emotion was packed into these last 100. Gotta give it a 7.5. Not even gonna try to pretend. I could even be argued to move it back up to an 8 or something like that, but I will minimum say 7.5 just because there was so much going on that was good. And the whole story it definitely gets an 8 because if I can honestly say I didn't want it to end, that speaks for itself. I feel like if you can say I didn't want a story to end, that speaks volumes for how good it was for you as an individual. So the fact that I could have gone another 100+ chapters of just seeing how like all this awesome stuff happening, or even could look forward to a sequel if they come out with one. I definitely have to give it an 8.
That's fair.
The Adventures of Kenichi, his elder.
I mean,
so, if I were
I'd read it.
so me rating just this portion, it's actually risen during this talk. I was about where Sek is right now, but I think I'm going to go up to a 7. I think there was a lot of context for things, and honestly, had we just been talking about like the first part with dealing with the carnival and all of that, like I think I would have given that portion alone like a 9+.
Amen.
But there was a lot of messy stuff in the war, but there was still good stuff that happened in the war, and so I ended up like going closer to a middle and saying that 7. The series overall, I'm going to give a solid 7.5. I think it is definitely better than average. Do I think it's for everyone? No. I would say if you're a shonen head and you just like shonen, like battle shonen, or like, you know, harem comedy stuff, like just all the generic tropes, this is up your alley. This is it. You get your fan service, you get your ships, you get all corners of like otakudom in this series, if that makes sense.
It does.
But yeah,
Definitely.
I definitely enjoyed this, especially since I didn't remember a lot of these later parts. So it's been good reading it with you guys.
heck yeah, man.
I would definitely agree.
Before we decide to move on to what we're going to start reading in the future, I do want to give a shout out to a story I started reading recently. It is a webtoon that is focused on some POC, like some black characters, and it has a girl lead. So I did want to give a shout out to that story. It's pretty early still, but it's called Not Another Cliche. I think that's
I saw an ad for that.
Huh?
I saw an ad for that.
Huh? Yeah, it's pretty interesting to me. So I won't give away too much, but it definitely has some interesting aspects with the whole, fantasy video game vibe. I won't say more than that because it feels like it's too early to really give a synopsis without spoiling anything. But at the end of the day, it's definitely got that, video gamey type vibe to it, and it features a lot of prominent, POC. So I think it's definitely something that deserves a shout out.
Alright, that's fair.
Speaking of video game series, I started reading that old Dragon Quest manga, Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai, and it is not great.
Dude.
Cool.
It is a very average show or series.
Oh man,
It's
Sorry to
very
hear that.
tropey.
I'm actually reading the anime, so it's
It's serviceable.
yeah, that's it. Because I like Dragon Quest, I watch it.
Yeah,
That's
I like Dragon Quest, and I'm doing a manga challenge, and one of them was a manga published before 2000, so I wanted to get an 80s series, because I don't read a lot of 80s manga. And that was one of the ones I hadn't read at a jump, because it came out in 89.
That's crazy. I did not know that adventure was so old.
Yeah, and
To balance out that pain, I do want to say Dragon Quest Your Story is actually really good.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that. Like, it's good enough where it's like if you take it seriously, it's pretty good, but it doesn't take itself too seriously either. And the twist at the end is actually really like, oh, okay. So it's like, I don't know, it's good. I won't oversell it, but it's definitely good at least.
Word.
Alright, but it's time for the fun. Let's talk about what we're going to read in 2 weeks. Because this theme is going to be a short series. Something we can do in one episode, like we should have did with Chainsaw Man.
That's a fair thing to say.
So if everybody would like to talk about their pick and why they picked it.
I'll go ahead with mine. School
first
Live Club.
I wanted to say first that, like, apparently you gotta be affiliate to make polls on Twitch now. I was able to do that in our first stream, and I've since Googled it and wondered why I couldn't do it anymore, and that's just something that happened recently. So that's why you won't be seeing a formal poll if you're in the chat. Just let us know what series you'd like to see.
Okay.
So, I was going to say the one I offered that was under 100 chapters was School Live Club. To be as simple as possible, because it does have a pretty quick and interesting twist. You have a bunch, or a couple of girls who are in this school, going to school together. And everything seems pretty, all cool and all, until towards, the middle of the couple of chapters you start noticing things are off. And so it ends up becoming a more psychological horror as you go along, and that's the best I can say without spoiling anything.
Boy, I know I'm not voting.
Man, you said less than the synopsis.
Because if you say as much, you might spoil it. So I'd
I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, like, I wish I had not read the synopsis.
Yeah. So I feel like that's a better way of explaining it without giving away the twist in it. So it's good though. It's definitely interesting.
Alright, Justice.
So I chose Spirit Circle, which is in my top 5 favorite manga of all time. One of Cynic's favorites. I got him to read it. So it's about this normal middle school kid named Futa, just living his life, when a random exchange student or transfer student comes in who just hates him. And she's also followed by a ghost that only he can see and she can see. And so when he confronts her, she attacks him with this weird spirit circle that reveals that they've been enemies throughout several reincarnations, and it's his journey to figure out why she hates him.
Okay, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you guys. It has my vote. I love that. I love Spirit Circle, and I would love to have more people read it and talk about it. So, my series the series that I picked was Uzumaki by Junji Ito. A lot of the reason was because, I wanted to talk about a series in a more artistic way. It's also pretty short. I actually own a copy of it. I bought it recently. And I was trying to avoid, battle shonen and stuff, and it's actually a horror series. I really don't know anything else other than that because I didn't want to spoil it for myself because horror is usually in suspense. Mm-hmm. So the only things I know about it are that Junji Ito is a great artist and its genre.
If it is what I think it is, I don't know if I'll be able to hang, bro.
Dude, it's intense.
Yeah, then it is probably what I think.
I also think I know that Uzumaki means spiral in Japanese. Don't quote me on that, though.
It does.
Oh, okay, yeah, then it is who I'm thinking it is. Yeah, because that's the same guy who made the manga about the human-sized holes where people slide into them.
He
and shit.
sure is. Man,
Yeah,
that short story is rough.
Yeah, Uzumaki can't get my vote, then, bro. I'm sorry, I can't do
Hey,
it.
listen, I'm not offended. I will read it on my own at some point.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea, and that's the easiest way to say that.
All right, Sek. What was your choice?
Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. Literally because of the name, because I don't know anything about it. As I'm more new to picking out mangas, so I literally picked it. I was like, this is a really cool name. And it's under 100 chapters. Let's see it. Let's see what it's about. So,
Way to sell it.
It's also by the same...
I'm keeping it 100.
The only thing I know about it is that it's by the same mangaka as Spirit Circle, ironically.
Oh, well, what are the chances?
That's gotta say something, right? Like,
Right?
Yeah. So are we doing the same voting procedure as last time? You can't vote for your own? Because if so, I'm voting for Spirit Circle.
That would be preferred.
Then I'm voting for
would...
Spirit Circle.
Alright.
So then I gotta go with the Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer.
Huh. Alright. I already said I'm voting for Spirit Circle.
I'm also voting for Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer.
God.
I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen.
This is rough.
Anyone in chat want to try and give us a...
Alright, chat,
tiebreaker?
can we get a chime in? I need you to break a tie. Because we have a rule going where I break ties, but I would prefer your participation.
Let's see who we got in the chat right now. I have 2 viewers other than myself.
While we're waiting for that, did I talk about Kaiju number 8 yet in one of these episodes? Because I've also been reading that.
I don't think so.
Oh, dude, it is awesome.
So what's it about?
So it's about...
It's in general.
the main character, his name is Kafka. I don't remember his last name. He's like this 30-year-old dude. Okay, so the world is... There are kaiju. They're just giant monsters that attack. And there's like a special defense force to fight them. And he wants to be part of that because he made like a childhood... His like childhood friend and him promised that they would both join. But he's failed the exam like 4 times. And so he's just part of like the cleanup crew. After, the kaiju's dead, they just tear it apart and take it down so society can function. Until one day when like this parasite kaiju enters his body and he can transform into one.
Oh.
And it like gives him the power, and like he finally joins the defense force and is like part of the team killing kaiju, but he's trying to keep his identity secret.
So it's Jujutsu Kaisen, but kaiju.
Maybe. I haven't read Jujutsu Kaisen yet. It kind of reminds me of... It's honestly kind of like Attack on Titan, but with kaiju.
Okay, I feel you.
And like a washed-up main character instead of a kid who really wants to do murders.
So it looks like we're just going to have to break down and choose Spirit Circle, because that's what it sounds like you're going to do.
I'm gonna roll a die.
I'm also fine with that.
I'm gonna go grab a die, and I'm gonna roll it. I'm gonna let Justice call it and be the witness. Because that's more fun than just defaulting to my vote.
Okay.
Also, I'm down to read either series, so... No, you're not. I was looking for the vacuum cleaner. I could not find it.
Yeah, I was only preferring Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer because I would rather we all go in blind. Or at least mostly blind if we can.
Yeah, I feel
like Kenichi was fun, don't get me wrong, but it does, now looking back and knowing that we had some ideas of what were going to happen, I feel like that does cause a little bit of a, I don't even say conflict or anything, but it does kind of take away from our opinions because some of us know what's going to happen and then some of us don't. So I feel like it's easier just to go with the thing that we don't know, or at least most of us don't know, if you get what I mean.
I feel that.
So, That's why I was like, you know what? Since you guys kind of already know a little bit about Spirit Circle, I'd rather go with the other one. So, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't entirely fair for me to choose Spirit Circle. I knew Cynic would vote for it.
It's true.
Oh.
But it's so good.
It is.
Nobody talks about it.
I believe you, mind you. I don't want you to feel like I think it's a bad story because you know about it. So much as I'm just like, okay, but I do kind of want to go in blind. That's really all it was. Just because of this experience with Kenichi, I feel like it has given me that, like, you know, mostly blind. Even if only one of us knows about the story, it's better than all of us or half of us knowing about the story going in already.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts on the matter.
All right, Justice, you want to call it? I got my D20 here.
Evens. Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer.
All right, let's dimension some dice.
It's an 18, so
we're reading Biscuit Hammer.
So, Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer it is.
All right, cool.
So, all right. What else? Like, is there anything else that we wanted to do?
Unless y'all want to talk about things that are currently like ongoing, but I feel like we need to have a separate cast for that at this point. Like, we're already pretty long. We get into the thick of things.
yeah, I'm content with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, do we have any other shout-outs, manga, anime, or anything we're watching, playing? Anything you want to call out?
Playing Persona 5 Royal.
Also playing Persona 5 Royal.
I'm being the old decrepit man and playing Fallout New Vegas.
Ooh, respect though. That's such a great game.
It really is, and I keep finding stuff in there. Like, I have almost 500 hours in the game, and I'm still finding stuff that I haven't found before. Like, it's true. Like, there's so many unmarked things, or things that were marked that I just never got around to because I wanted to get to the story version of this ending versus that ending. So it's like, even 500 plus hours in, I'm just continuously finding out information. Or remembering things that I didn't remember. So.
You love to see it.
Yeah. But,
So,
I guess at this point...
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Sek, you got anything you getting into?
He actually stepped away, so that's what I was gonna say. At this point, I guess it's closing time.
Alright, with that being said, Jin, shoutouts to your peoples.
Alright. I do want to appreciate everyone who came out from Discord, Special Wilson Warrior, I know him. I also want to shout out my art Twitter, my Safe Work art Twitter. It's Papa Jin, spelled exactly how it's spelled in the chat there, but it's one word. All right.
Justice.
I exist. Not very much on social media, but my band Shibutica, we're on streaming platforms. We should have a single coming out in the next month or so.
Hell yeah,
So
dude.
peep that.
I am about to put our link tree in. I'm putting a link tree in the comments, in the chat. That has mine and Jin's Twitters and this Twitch, and I'll be adding more stuff as people actually send me stuff to add to it. But that's us. We appreciate everybody who came out. To everyone who came from any of the Discords I'm in, like Final Phase Gaming. King Marth was one of the people I met there. So appreciate follows. Appreciate everybody who came to watch. Looking forward to talking about Lucifer and Biscuit Hammer for our next episode in 2 weeks. I
Hell yeah.
honestly wasn't sure it was going to win, but you know, here we are.
I know that's right.
But this has been the manga panel. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
Have a good one, everyone.